desktop or tablet at KFMA.com.
You want it? You got it. Reality radio done right. No nonsense, real and raw, just like you like it.
He's corrupt, he's inexperienced, and he lies.
Broadcasting from a broom closet in the Arizona Lotus Studios, it's Beef Vegan Presents.
Yo, welcome back to the show. It's Beef Vegan Presents live on Rock 102.1 KFMA, streaming worldwide at KFMA.com on this cold October 30th. Yeah, Monday. Good morning, Weirdo.
Good morning.
Yes, winter is here. All right. Hope you guys had fun this Halloween weekend. A lot of parties happening all over the old Pueblo, all over downtown. And Halloween is still not even here. That's tomorrow.
You're right.
We'll celebrate it with an all-cover show, but until then, we're getting ready for a long week. We've got a lot of stuff to give away, and we'll get down to all that here in a little bit, of course. You have a good weekend here, Weirdo?
I did.
Good. Didn't you did trick-or-treating and all that good stuff?
We did the Harvest Festival at the kids' school, and then also went to a place called Mighty Minds. It's a horse ranch, and they had like a whole little thing where you could pet horses and, get treats and face paint and all that. So The kids had fun.
Yeah, it's good. It's good when you have kids and young kids because it gives you something to do. And when you're an adult, then you just got to go out and get wasted and hook up with someone, and hopefully in the morning, and they turn out to be decent and, not give you that old Halloween traditional trick, which is, trick or treat. I got to know what happened. And was it one of the things that we were thinking was going to happen? Now, as of now, we don't know. It was reported that he had drowned in his jacuzzi and with no foul play indicated. There's initial reports that he had a cardiac arrest and then kind of slipped underneath the water. They said there was no drugs found in the area, but now they're saying there was prescription drugs there for like antidepressants and things like that. And honestly, the way that the story is kind of like playing out, it was that he was playing pickleball a little bit earlier. He was super fatigued. He called it short. He went home. He went to the jacuzzi, and that's where he ended up passing away. And so to me, that says heart failure, right?
Yeah.
And from years of smoking and abusing and everything else and not living a healthy lifestyle. 54 years old is young, but also super old when you burn the candles at both ends for as long as he allegedly burned the candles at both ends. So it's super unfortunate. Of course, friends, fans all over the world and the cast members have been speaking out and mourning the loss of Matthew Perry and, his iconic role, Chandler Bing, of course. One of the co-stars who played Phoebe, Lisa Kudrow, said that, obviously she's heartbroken and she's looking to, I think, adopt like his pets, take them in. And she believes that he may have taken something that may not have done mixed well with warm water.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when I first read it and it was like drown in a jacuzzi, like my first instinct went to medical emergency, like you said, some kind of heart failure, things like that, because yes, he has battled addiction. He's been open about it, but he has been clean for a while. So we hope that, there's no relapse, but at the same time, he kind of said it before he died of like, I know what I've signed up for.
Yeah, I know. It's upsetting too. And even if he did recover completely, which who knows if he recovered completely, and he did have the money and the resources to seek medical attention beforehand. But us guys, we don't go to doctors unless it's an emergency. This is a study that's been proven time and time again. We're too stubborn in a way. And, if a lot of this stuff is preventative, if we go for regular checkups.
Yes.
And I say this as if I know, but I literally haven't been to a doctor in years myself because I'm just as dumb and hard-headed as the next guy. Here's some clips here, some fond memories.
Please, could she be more out of my league?
Could you want her more?
Okay. Could that report be any later?
Oh. Yes! Could that shot be any prettier?
Look at me. I'm Chandler. Could I be wearing any more clothes?
Could we be more white trash?
Oh, yeah, the classic Chandler Bing sayings. Well, here in his own words, Matthew Perry said in an interview not too long ago how he would like to be remembered. I'd like to share you that real quick.
I would like to be remembered as somebody who lived well, loved well, was a seeker, and his paramount thing is that he wants to help people. That's what I want.
There you go.
Yeah.
So those are the words of the late Matthew Perry, passed away at 54 years old today. So he's still trending #1 on Twitter, and obviously. All right, let's hit that hard reset, shall we? Weirdo, as you're getting things ready, let me introduce to you a good friend of mine joining us via satellite from Austin, Texas, in some kind of man cave somewhere. I got Max Frost. Yeah, good morning, Max.
What's happening?
It's good to see you, buddy.
What's going on?
All right, so where are you exactly? Because you're obviously in the studio.
Yeah, I'm in my house in Nashville, Tennessee. I moved here in January.
Oh, you're in Nashville now.
I moved to Nashville. Yeah, that's where I live now. And
yeah,
it's a good thing. It's now officially a place that has seasons, which I hadn't lived before. And a place where crazy things can happen. It's a little different. I literally don't know what to explain to you about what happened last night. What I want to say is that out of respect to you into this program, my plan had been to get to bed. And that's what I was going to do. And that's what I had done. But sometimes literally crazy, I don't know what to explain right now. Things can come knocking at your door and you just can't control it. My girlfriend lives on a block that there's only one house that's not been built in the past 3 years. There's one old holdout.
Okay.
It's right there next door to her. And I've heard about the lady that lives in this house. I've heard she's a little, got some things going on.
Yeah.
And last night we were home from a Halloween thing. She's asleep. Her roommate and I are having a chat. And all of a sudden at midnight, boom, 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 the door and then the doorbell. And I'm like, okay, I don't like the way someone's knocking on. This is where the woman.
Like a cop, right?
Yeah, this is like where the woman I care for sleeps, So I'm kind of already off the bat. I'm like, I need to be handling this in a way that's like, this is not going to proceed into any more. Whatever this is, I don't want any more of this happening right now.
Yes.
So I open the door and it's the neighbor. And she's a little, right off the bat, I know she's not sober. And she's like, but she's nice. It's like, it's so hard to explain. It's like,
what is she under the influence of, if you were to guess? Just drunk or maybe something else?
Oh, she was for sure on an upper.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now I know exactly where her headspace is coming from. Continue.
Right. And you have to understand that from the moment I opened the door and the moment she looks at me, it's not what she thought was going to happen. She thought that one of these gals was going to open the door and be terrified. And she was knocking on the door to be like, y'all got to get this car off of the street because it blocks my way. This is not, it's not even our car, whatever. Right. But there's also a friendly energy. But where I'm coming from, because I'm about to say some things that happen in this story that are going to make me sound a little crazy. But the thing is, I believe you have to meet crazy in the middle if you want to have calm in your life. Sometimes
crazy with crazy.
If you can't control that someone lives next to you who's a crazy person and they're going to be coming and knock on your door at midnight, sometimes you just got to meet them in the middle, you know? And I'd already had a few drinks, but listen, I was fine. I'm fine now. And I was fine then, but it was just so like, okay, so this is what's going on. Her and I are talking. She immediately off the bat is like, oh, what are you into? Can I sell you something? I'm like, no, I'm good on that. What's the problem here? We're talking about the car on the street. I follow her to her car. I don't really remember why. Oh, because she's going to walk down the steep like side pathway and slips and falls on her ass and then goes to get in her car. And I'm like helping her up. And there's this dude in her car who has no shirt on. I didn't know there was someone else in her car, so we walked to the car. This dude has no shirt on. He's covered in tats like everywhere, but his energy is like, he's very embarrassed about what's going on. He's not mad at me. He's not bothered that I'm now over there at the car leaning in, talking to them like, what are y'all doing? I'm just kind of with this energy of like, man, y'all got to chill. Like,
yes,
it's 1 a.m. You're banging on my door and where are y'all even going right now? She, in the middle of explaining some other situation with the other neighbor, she's getting worked up, talking about that the other neighbor had upset her because of something. And she starts like, yeah, well, I'll defend myself here. And she reaches over to the dashboard and he tries to stop her hand from reaching over. But then
grab a gun.
Yeah, she pulls this gun out from over by her dash like that. And it's in a pink bag. And I'm leaning in the car like this. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, and this is what I mean by listen, the same thing to do right there would have been like, y'all have a good night. But again, I don't like that this level of crazy is just next door to where my girl lives. So instead of being like, well, you know what? Hey, you guys have a good night. I'm like, hey, take my number. And I want you to call me the next time you need anything here. Y'all be safe. They're out here looking for you tonight. So you're driving around crazy right now. Y'all got to relax.
Right.
Like, yeah, we're good. They take off. She calls me 5 minutes later looking for the phone charger. I don't see a phone charger out there. She calls me again 40 minutes later. Now
you messed up so hard. Yeah.
He calls me again. And this time she's like trying to broker with me to like bring her some liquor out of the house. And I'm like, I'm like, listen, I don't know nothing that's in here. I can't talk to you about that. But there's a dive bar that's walking distance from the house where I'm like, if you're trying to drink, I'll meet you over there. Because I got to talk to you. Because what I was picturing was a little more of a heart to heart where I could eventually get her to the space of like, hey, do me a favor.
Yeah, you're failing so hard in every step of this story, dude.
Oh, yeah.
You never give a tweaker your phone number. Ever.
Well, if they're next door, if they live on top of where your girlfriend, I wouldn't on the street. I wouldn't in any situation other than like, my goal was like, hey, you got a problem? You call me.
Yeah.
I'm knocking on her door. You call me. And even if I'm not there, we'll figure it out. Don't come knocking on this door anymore. But I'm not trying to tell her like you're not welcome here, but like deal with me.
Let me interrupt just for a second. We're back here live on Rock 102.1 KFMA, catching up with my buddy Max Frost from Nashville, Tennessee, right now. He's a recording artist. You've heard Max's music here on the station, and he's telling a crazy story of an interaction he had last night with his girlfriend's neighbor, who is alleged tweaker. And so as I got him caught up, okay, so you have this interaction late night last night around 1 o'clock in the morning, and you thought it would be a good idea to kind of like be able to head off any future problems at the past if you give this woman your phone number, right?
Yeah.
And then after that, she continued to call you all throughout the night last night, and that's where we're at in the story. What has happened from there?
So she gets to the house. To her house, which is next door. I don't want her to even walk over to meet me at the front door again. So I come outside when I know she's there. I walk outside. She's like, come in the house. I'm like, okay.
Oh, it's Halloween season. You're putting yourself in every murder situation.
And I'm dressed as John Travolta from Grease. So I got a black leather jacket on. I walk in her house, and the first thing I'm worried about is this pit bull she has that I've seen. And I'm like, hey, am I good to come in here? Like, I don't want this dog to bite me.
Yeah.
And she literally has this crazy response that's like, if I let my dog bite you, you could sue me. Do you think that I want that? Like these crazy stakes that she keeps putting out there with everything where I'm just like, just say the dog's fine.
Yeah. You heard of girl math. This is like tweaker math.
Yeah, this is tweaker math.
Yeah.
Get in her house and she's talking to this and that, this person. We walk in her bedroom and she tells me to sit in this chair in her bedroom and she changes just right there while I'm just sitting there.
So you see her butt ass?
No, but just, listen,
Enough.
It's honestly, that's the least crazy part of really, it's so hard to explain the energy of like, she's lived there for 24 years. Like,
yeah.
She's not like, and underneath it, I'm like, you know what, this person's cool. They're just totally on one right now and probably are almost every night. And I'm just catching them in their crazy hours. And I'm going to have to talk to them again tomorrow. I'm probably going to call her after I get off of this and, remind her of the time that we even spent. And so then she changes. She was wearing a clown costume. She changes into some sort of regular clothes.
Right in front of you. Yeah.
He wants to drive to Mickey's, which is walking distance, but it's about to rain and be cold. And I'm just like, listen, I was good at that point. So I drive her car to Mickey's and we go inside. And she's like, listen, from there, there's really not much of a story other than just like, I'm trying to get through to her. She's all wound up telling me her life story, you know.
Of course.
Really, the peak of how it ends, which is that, you know, the bar shuts down. It's 3 a.m. and she's like, and I'm just trying to be like, all right, we've done this. You got to go, but also you got to get home safe, and we're going to the same place.
And meanwhile, your girlfriend's at home.
Asleep.
Asleep at home. And you go on this wild post-midnight adventure with the meth head next door.
Yes.
Being the good guy.
Because I'm trying to convince this, and I did have this conversation because she kept doing, you know, she just kept taking it to like some Wild West movie where we make eye contact and she's saying some crazy stuff to me. Like, do you think that just intensity, just high intensity.
Right.
Which I'm not trying to match in a competitive, like, I'm going to out aggressor you way. It was in a very calm, like, yeah, I hear you, but you're acting crazy right now. I just kept telling her, hey, listen, you're out of your, you're out of your mind.
Yeah.
You got to chill. I keep being like, listen to me. You got to chill. You're acting. And then she tells me she's already had 2 DWIs.
Mm-hmm.
This is sprung off the conversation where I'm like, listen, you got to stop driving around like this. Like, you got to relax. Fast forward, the bar's closed. We get in her car. I'm like, listen, leave the car here. We'll get it in the morning. And she keeps like, she's like halfway got the car backed up. I'm like, no. I'm like, turn your lights off. You got to chill. And then a cop comes down the alleyway with his lights on. And I really go into like, hey, pull this car up right now. I'm telling you right now, this conversation is over. Cause I know she's got things in this car. I'm not about to be in this car. I'm like,
yeah. You put yourself in a felonious situation.
I'm actually pretty sure, legally speaking, I'm good because the car doesn't belong to me. You know,
nope.
I don't. So I'm like, listen, I'm out. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I get out and walk home, drive home, but somehow I walk home as fast as she drives home, and then she's in the house. And I'm like, you have a good night. I'll talk to you tomorrow, and that's the end of it. But yeah, the point being that sometimes you got to go to the abyss and meet crazy in the middle, because you know what I feel is wild as all that was. I feel like if it really hits the fan for her, there's a little piece in her that remembers like, okay, yeah, I don't want to, those people are okay. And I'm going to go somewhere else to send this energy, because I hope at the very least she calls me next time instead of banging on that door, because that's just inappropriate.
Oh, don't worry. I have a feeling she's going to call you a lot. Look at you trying to be rock and roll Jesus. Save every meth head next door.
Processing this myself. I'm still sort of.
I see that. So we got Max Frost hanging out with us on the podcast broadcast. We are live now from 8 to 10 a.m. You can join us, youtube.com/beefvegan. We're going to continue the conversation, be back with more, including a confession session right after these words. It's Rock 102.1 KFMA. Clear. All right. So I don't think I explained to you what I'm doing here, Max, but this is our podcast broadcast. So obviously we're live streaming in podcast form, but we're also jumping in and off or on and off the air on the FM airwaves.
Yeah. I'm trying to be careful with my mouth here. Sorry.
You did good. You did good. And honestly, we just became monetizable. So I'm trying to watch my verbiage even when we're off the air.
Yeah, that's a dense story to tell without. I think I avoided saying anything that was like, you can't put that on air. But the whole time, once I saw your background in the microphones, I was like, okay, yeah, how am I going to word this one?
Sometimes when you're telling a story about a tweaker, you got to just do it uncensored. It's an uncensored situation that you put yourself in. And future reference, don't do that. And don't think that you're okay because you're just happen to be in the car, but it's not your car. They will find 10 different ways to screw you.
Mm-hmm.
This is my good friend Weirdo, by the way.
Good morning.
Yes. And Mari's going to be joining us in a little bit. She's here. She's still in the same studio as me.
You're in Tucson?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How you like Tucson, man?
Me personally?
Yeah.
I like it. It's all Arizona to me. And, I have my own show now. And I've had my own show for like 2.5 years. And we built it up from the basement to the attic. And we're doing good in ratings. And I'm going to renegotiate my contract next year. And now the focus is, since we've been able to establish ourselves and be successful on the FM side, to establish the YouTube channel more prominently. And I've been, learning how to do that. And building up numbers and whatnot to have reach it, because, any broadcaster's goal is to be syndicated. Right.
Right.
But I'm like, you know what? I don't need to wait around for that. we could syndicate ourselves. Now there are no boundaries because the internet, and I should have been thinking this mentality years ago when we first met.
Yeah. You know what? Me too.
Yeah, no shit.
I got a lot of ideas from you and me from 10 years ago that would have been a smart thing to get started on then. You and I, honestly, the smartest move for both of us, you and I should have started a podcast right then.
Yep.
Done it every day, and we'd both be millionaires right now. But instead, we're like, maybe we should start a podcast in 2020.
I know. And I've been checking out your podcast and what you've been doing podcasting, and your clips. You're doing really good, and it makes sense.
I don't even it's not even really a podcast. I finally just had this idea of like, you know what? I'm just going to talk to my friends and record it. And once something is good, I'll edit it down and post it. There's not even a full length. There's not a long form you can even go hear of any of that stuff, because also I'm not successful enough to be canceled, but if I'm really cutting loose for hours on a mic talking to a friend, there's a lot of stuff I'm like, yeah, there's no way I should put that online,
Yeah.
Which I'm sure you've already had to, have that mind frame for a long time, but I just, it's tough.
I still put myself in situations. Hell, I did a Mexican sleepy joke earlier this morning and stuff, but it was killer. I'm actually going to cut that up in context of like a Snow White and the Seven Dwarves and talking against those stereotypes.
Right. But you're in a different space. It's almost like if you were to fully cut yourself free and be on your own, then you're kind of in the cloak of like comedians out there in the world who like can get away with that. Whereas like for me, I'm like, nah, man, I make alternative music. I'm still really part of like the left Zeitgeist where like I can't be out there talking like that. I'm not a comedian. So I can't get away with that stuff. And so I got to be careful because it's funny to me. And I watch that stuff and I like those guys and I wish I was one of those guys, but I'm not one of those guys and I will get in a lot of trouble.
You talking about like the Shane Gillises and things like that? Everybody,
Theo Vaughn, all these guys, that are out there, like where it's like, man, they can say whatever they want. Right. But they're professionals at being funny, saying whatever they want. And I'm not, and I don't kid myself thinking that I'm going to get away with that.
Yeah, you're right about that too, actually, because just recently, who was it? Like, I think it was Roseanne Barr that was on Theo Vaughn, and Theo was kind of agreeing with some extreme statements, or not necessarily agreeing, but not disagreeing with extreme statements that Roseanne said. And in normal situations, it would be a full blown cancel movement, and there was some backlash, but nothing came of it.
But Theo Vaughn also has one of the top 10 podcasts in the world. So, and he's already, this guy's out there talking about he's crying, talking about being in rehab. I mean, it's all out there where it's like, you can't, and
that's the thing.
His audience doesn't really care. If somebody wants to try to cancel him, they can try. What are they going to do?
Right. Yeah.
Well, I think it's about their response too. Like how many of them just handle that really well by knowing when to say something and then when not to say something in response to the backlash as well.
Well, he knows even if he gets canceled, he can still go on tour and do comedy shows. Like Ari Shaffir. Ari Shaffir got canceled. But Ari Shaffir just announced that he's going to be playing at the Rialto Theater here in December doing comedy shows. So he's still making money.
The Kobe
mocking Kobe on the day that he died because Kobe's alleged rape allegations, whatnot.
Right. Yeah, that was a rough one.
Yeah, no, it was poor taste for sure.
That was a rough one.
Delaney said you're a real one, so that's good.
Yeah.
Hey. I have a couple things I want to showcase of yours to get people caught up on everything, because I really look at Max as a multimedia artist as well. And I think he does it better than everybody. And right now you're independent again, right?
Dude, I got a label again. I'm on a label called Network that's based out of Canada. It's an indie label that's about as big as an indie label can be before you really call it a major label. But it's an indie label, which is really cool. It's really been a lot of fun. It's very different. It's more like I have a team of scientists now who are sending me crazy charts on like the analytics of like my crossover with other artists and like stuff that I'm just like, I don't know what any of this means, man. If you guys can get it right, let's do it. You tell me what to do.
They're like the lab coat guys that are giving you the kind of breakdown of what works, what doesn't, based off of the science of the data. That's nice.
Yeah. It's actually really cool. It's a lot different from the days, back at the Atlantic days when they were like, is there a way you could date Paris Hilton? We've got some big ideas on how to break your career, Max. Is there a way you could stage some kind of violent crime that is that people like?
That's major label stuff. So let me get Weirdo caught up. So Max first popped across my radar almost a decade ago. His single White Lies was one of my favorite songs I put in heavy rotation on my station. He was one of the youngest men I've known in recent history signed to Atlantic Records. Based out of Austin, Texas. He kind of grew up as this like wonder kid in the music scene, multi-instrumentalist, singer-songwriter, and then started putting out music under that banner. And then, from there has had like single success, like the song Good Morning, which we have in the station here. He was on Good Morning America with that and a bunch of different national things. And I'm still like tried and true to the indie kind of vibe of music and style they puts up, a little cross pop over. And then with that, he's also one of the most creative artists that I've come across, personally and on the internet, with the ability to create engaging content and stuff. And what part of that is like his mashup series of songs that will feature. In fact, actually, we're going to be back on here on the FM side in 20 seconds. And I hope he didn't get too uncomfortable for you, me talking you up right in front of you there, Max.
That's nice stuff to say, man. I appreciate that. Thank you.
This all real stuff, So hold on. I gotta just balance out my commercials because we're doing commercial radio. And I got a couple clips that I just want to feature on the podcast broadcast and on the air to kind of showcase your mashup series that you do, which I've been a wild fan of. Your TikTok page has been huge for a while. You've been knowing how to TikTok.
Knowing them TikToks.
I don't know how to do it. We could talk for a long time about all that, man.
I think you know how to do it. Here, we'll get back on the air here. Rock 102.1 KFMA. That was Bring Me the Horizon, a dive for you. Welcome back to the show. It's a podcast broadcast. Max Frost is our guest from Nashville, Tennessee right now. We're talking multimedia engagement. And this is important to all these because we have a lot of local musicians out there listening. And I always like to give them, ideas of what you need to do to connect and engage with an audience and make it to that next level. In a lot of ways, you can't just be a singer-songwriter anymore. You have to be engaging on so many levels. It's all about multimedia. Right. And it's the same thing for us. Max has gone viral several times over, doing a fantastic mashup series where he, this is the best way to explain it. And I'll have Max give us the rundown of the concept of this, but he basically takes two artists and he'll mash up a song together of those two artists and what it would sound like. Okay. When did you start thinking about how to do this here, Max?
Because they, listen, I've seen some strange things in my career where the business changes out of nowhere. I've never seen anything stranger than the day that my manager turns to me and is like, yeah, so there's this Chinese algorithm that you're going to need to worship on a daily basis and put content onto. And if you don't find success at that, it's over. So you better figure this out. And that was literally the conversation. TikTok is just, it took the whole thing over in like the snap of a finger. And I was like, okay, let me find a way to have success at this. And tried and failed for like a few months. And then I saw some clips of people doing, and they hadn't had that much success with it, but some people were out there like, this is what it would sound like if, Taylor Swift this song was done by Lana Del Rey. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting idea. I was like, I think I could do that pretty well. And I started trying it. And then I think it took like 4 or 5 attempts. And I literally had to learn, like, okay, I got to download Premiere Pro and learn to edit. I got to go buy lights. I got to, so I went and did all this because I had nothing but time on my hands because it was the pandemic and I'm sitting around in the house. And so I started doing it and it turned into a real thing. I mean, it was like just rinse and repeat every day. I'd wake up, I'd read through the comments of the best idea. I would make it. I would make the music in about 2 hours. I'd shoot the video and edit it and have it out in about another 2 hours. So 4 hours or less. I pretty much do this every day for, many, many months there in 2020 and 2021 that I was doing that. And what's really the funniest thing about it, before the TikTok world happened, I was an artist who had music that had always far out succeeded social media for me. I could never get my social media to catch up. The irony is, and all of a sudden, I was like crushing at this thing, and it was like making me money. It was like literally like it was income to be doing this because of the views, and I was getting brand. It was like this whole world that it had opened for me that ironically had like sort of sidestepped even putting music out because people really weren't there to be like, oh yeah, man, that's really interesting that you can do that. What's your music about? They were just strictly like, I'm just here to like forget about you, dude. I want to hear System of a Down covered by Elton John. Shut up. I don't care what your music sounds like. Do Queen covers, Korn or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was a thing to where I finally just had to take a break from it for a while because it was just like, man, I just kept doing it. And we're just living a crazy time with all that stuff,
Yeah, and you're like, no, I'm an actual artist. I'm not just, like a carnival performer.
This one's okay, but look up the one that the Billie Eilish covered by Pink Floyd. If you're gonna play one,
oh, okay,
that's the better one. There's a longer form version of it on YouTube. That's easier.
Okay,
to find, probably, yeah. I should probably pin the more successful ones up there.
Yeah, dude, that makes it easier. Let's see, Max Frost, Billie Eilish, and Pink Floyd.
Yeah,
you're seeing me type in real time.
Just type Pink Floyd and you'll find it.
Okay. And you guys can do this at home. Oh, you got it. All right. Yeah. Okay. So here's the idea. Oh, yeah. And this is a good music video, too. So when you shoot it as well and you edit it, it's you all like ×4. There's like all these different layers where there's 4 different Maxes in the video. And it's just so well done. And then you say that only takes you about 4 hours on average to edit these videos together.
Yeah, I got pretty fast at it because literally you just walk around with a couple lights and you set them up and you play the drums. All right, now play the bass, and then you just go edit it together. And I don't know who's making the ad revenue off this. It ain't me. But
somebody is. I know. Let's see. All right. Well, here, let's give this little rundown here. This is Max, just one example of the many examples that he does on these suggested mashups that he does live and lays down the tracks from beginning to end, from the drums, bass, guitar, keys. He does all that, and he also does the vocals and then mixes that down, then shoots the music video and edits all together to pump it out. And now that's making more revenue than some of the singles that he threw out there. It's so stupid how the world is today. Check this out, though. It's cool.
I'm not your friend or anything down. You think that you're the man. I think therefore I am. I'm not your friend or anything down. You think that you're the man. I think therefore I am. What the hell are you talking about? We're not the same, nothing without.
Got that Gilmore guitar sound?
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's awesome. Let me give another rundown or give another example of how you piece it together, because you do good in the behind the scenes as well, as far as telling people how the song is put together. And I'll do that with this TikTok example that is not monetized, I don't believe. Let's see.
You guys know that song Unwell by Matchbox 20? We're about to find out what it would sound like if Weezer covered it. Let's go! Step 1, you gotta look the part. Step 2, you gotta play some drums that sound just like this. Step 3, you gotta hit him with a bass line that sounds like this. Then of course you go for the best Rivers Cuomo version that you can do. I'm not crazy, I'm just a little well. When it all comes together, it sounds like this. I'm not crazy, I'm just a little well. I know right now you can't tell, but stay a while and maybe you will see a different side of me.
See? You can't forget that solo, but that's just an example, a small example of all the stuff and content that Max Frost puts together on a regular basis at Max Frost Music on TikTok and on YouTube as well. If you want to follow him and go down the rabbit hole, it's hours of entertainment, I assure you. We're going to continue the conversation with Max here on the podcast broadcast. Join us, youtube.com/BeFegan. When we come back, we're going to do a confession session with Weirdo and Max right after these words on Rock 102.1 KFMA. clear. All right.
Yeah, I was on Instagram yesterday, and there's like, because Nick Nocturnal also does kind of the same thing, where he's like, "Let's do System of a Down in 30 seconds," and he like breaks it down. But somebody did Rock Lobster in the style of System of a Down, and it is genius.
Was it you?
Nick Midnight? What's his name?
Nick Nocturnal.
Nick, well, yeah, that's kind of thing.
Let's see.
I'll tell you what.
I see if I can
do
find
me a
it.
favor. While you find it, go grab Mari.
Okay.
And so we're gonna have Mari back in studio. If you remember Mari, there, Max. I will refresh your memory as well, and everyone here on the stream, because I do have this video. Last time Max was in Tucson to hang out with us, I was on this station, but a different show. And we came up with, because Max is so
You know what we got to talk about, though, man. You know what we got to talk. Are we on right now?
Yeah, we're on right now.
Okay, dude. What we got to talk about that we have talked about this, but like right now I'm remembering this. And this is blowing my mind.
Okay.
I go to the first time I ever properly came on and did your show.
Mm-hmm.
You said to me, "Hey, this girl's going to come over here and she's going to cover a song of yours." And I'm thinking, that sounds wildly uncomfortable and that's a bad idea. And I don't want that to happen at all. And this young girl comes in and she's 17 years old and her name is Taylor Upsall.
Mm-hmm.
And she comes in with her dad and she covers one of my songs in the room with me there. And I'm braced for pain. I'm braced for this is going to be so uncomfortable.
Right.
And she was incredible. She did it in her own style. Her voice was so unique. I'm looking at her face and she's singing, and it's the only time I've ever had a moment in my life where I hear people talking about like seeing someone and like something flashes and you like see the future. I was like, oh, she's got something. Like that's not normal, whatever she does. Which for anyone listening who doesn't know, I'm talking about an artist called Upsall. Now this is now a famous person to me. I'm like, this is now like a very, very, very successful artist.
Yes, she's doing great.
Songs. And in the moment, it was like, it's just so crazy that literally all. And then I ended up, you know, we lived in LA together for a while. We have the same management. I've written a bunch of songs with her that have come out, and she's having this incredible career. And I just forget that literally all happened because you were like, hey, you know what? She should come and do this. And that's how we met. That's literally how all that happened. That's crazy.
Yeah. Is your manager still managing her? Because that was
Yeah.
I know. You know, it's
She's
such
in
a
Europe
small world.
now, like on some tour in Europe. I don't even know where she is.
I know. I had to put the pieces together on that one. But I needed, you know, well, it was. I looked at you guys both on the same level as far as artists, like the real deal, right? And I'm like, oh, you're gonna appreciate this because one, she's a fan of your song and the way she reimagined your song as an artist, you're gonna appreciate. Yeah. Two, she's so absolutely young and beautiful, you wouldn't even believe they're like she had it factor written all over her. Yeah, and I couldn't be more prouder. I'm like Uncle Beef every step of the way. She just announced that she's going on tour with Mother in Europe. Now, the lead singer of Mother has my name tattooed on his foot, right? They're another one of those artists that I, you know, embraced early and, you know, really love. And we built them up. So you're going to get a kick out of this. I'll tell the story just real quick because streamers have heard this before. So we were building them up on our little indie station in Phoenix for years. Now, Ryan and Mother always had success in Canada and places in Europe, but could never like connect in America. And after like about 7 years, it was really frustrating him. You know, he was starting to have doubts. Yeah. And I booked him on a show at a venue called the Press Room, which was like over 1,000 person cap, on a Wednesday night, and we sold it out, right? And it was a beautiful thing, not only for them, but for me as well, because it's an independent station. I was able to sell 1,000 tickets to an artist that wasn't getting mainstream radio play. So that was a testament to what we were doing.
Right.
And so the night was so beautiful. He ended up getting my tattoo that I have on my foot on his foot.
Wow.
And I've had a couple artists kind of like, you know, connect with them and then reminisce about the crazy guy Beef in Phoenix. But now I have an artist. Well, now Upsall's going on this European tour with them, and they're not knowing that they're kind of like second cousins in a weird way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I'll connect the dots. I'll text her and tell her, I'm like, hey, you remember how we met? She'll mention that to them, I'm sure. I mean, that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
This is like ancient history. I mean, this is now. What year would that have been? 2015 or something? That would have been.
It's going on a decade. There's Mari again. I was like reintroduced.
Hello. How are you?
I get you on here and stuff there. There you go. Now you could hear you. Real quick, actually, just to get caught up. So what we were saying before was the last time Max was hanging out with us, we came up with this concept. I always love, when I have talented friends come by, I always kind of throw things at them and be like, how about you do this, right? So we had Mari present Max with a bunch of like dirty DMs that she would get from randos, right? And turn it into a song. And he did, and he didn't disappoint. It was a classic. People loved hearing it. We got a little video as a throwback that I want to share with you real quick. And it's called Here's a D-Pic, Baby, by Max Frost, co-written by the perverts trying to see Mari's boobs on Facebook.
So we put together some of the best harassing messages that she receives through Facebook, and Max is going to put that together and make a song out of it.
Here's a D-Pic, Baby.
Okay. Yeah,
Here's a D-Pic, Baby, a Max Frost original.
This is a classic.
Right here on Rock 102.1 KFMA, Schmonty in the morning.
Hey, Mari, you're like a mirror, 'cause I can see myself in you when things get clearer.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean that I could do coke off of you.
Oh, yeah.
If you let me sometime. And I hope you don't mind, 'cause that's kind of crazy. But this picture of me might be hard to see. I hope that you don't flinch when you see it. But hey, you and me, and the devil is three. I hope that you don't mind when I say this. Here's a D-Pic, baby.
It's my penis, baby.
Here's a D-Pic, baby.
That's my penis, baby.
I'm talking no blurry Japan porno stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Here's a D-Pic, baby.
That's my penis, baby.
Well, I've been watching you for a long time on your Instagram, and I'm really not sure what to say. Or if you can see the word that rhymes with Sam that starts with D. But anyways, Mari, I just got something to say to you right now that I've been thinking about saying for a long time. And that is just something simple and sweet like, hey, baby. Show me your boob, slut. A picture of me might be hard to see. I hope that you don't flinch when you see it. But hey, you and me, and the devil is three on Instagram. And I hope that you don't mind when I say this. He's a D-Pic, baby.
It's my penis, baby.
He's a D-Pic, baby.
That's my penis, baby.
Yeah. He's a D-Pic, baby.
You want my penis, baby?
I'm talking no blurred out Japan porno stuff. He's a D-Pic, baby.
It's so veiny, baby.
Oh, it's veiny. Oh my God, I wish I was there sucking on them. Do you got milk? LOL. Your boobs must smell terrific. Yeah. A masterpiece of God. Hey, how are you? I love your hair. You are looking great. You make me speechless. In a box, text me your number, baby. Hey, he's a D-Pic, baby.
Here's my penis, baby.
He's a D-Pic, baby.
Will you clean it, lady?
Here's a D-Pic, baby.
It's the meanest, baby.
I ain't talking no eggplant emoji. It's a D-Pic, baby.
That's my penis, baby.
I ain't talking no eggplant emoji. It's a D-Pic, baby. Yeah.
And there you go.
Oh, that was a throwback here.
Please clarify that what I was doing there was presented with things that had been sent to her that I was supposed to sing those things. Because without that
You're not going to get canceled. I know. I did clarify that. I did.
When I read, I go, oh, I hope people understand that I'm reading what has been sent to that person.
No. You met Mari for 30 seconds and came up with it right then and there.
No, he's been concerned about that from day one. And not only did I clarify it, but it's also in the description at the beginning of the video for you saying, okay, just a warning. Max Frost did not write these lyrics.
No. Yeah.
It was like Creepy Rick and stuff like that. And speaking of throwbacks, I got White Lies playing right now on the radio. It was in the playlist, so I was like, I'll go way back here as a single song takeover.
That's a dangerous clip.
You see, I was watching him backstage. He was cringing a little bit.
Like, oh man, I hope he cuts it. I know that I said that one thing that's in the. It's again. I read it. I'm just literally. It's 5 a.m. and I walk in the studio. I had no idea I was going to do that. And you're like, hey, we have this idea. How about you make up a song to the spot from these terrible DMs that they send to my co-hosts? I'm like, okay,
yeah, and it worked.
And it worked, but I'm like, looking, it's just,
Don't worry, you're not going to get canceled for it. That's Max Frost, and you just heard Max Frost "White Lies." That was the first song that came across my radar that I fell in love with. His entire catalog, goes deep, and he's just a prolific songwriter, entertainer, multi-instrumentalist, and his live shows are off the chain as well. And we're hanging out here on the broadcast with Max. Mari's joining us in studio as well. Good morning, Mari.
Good morning.
We're gonna get caught up in what Max is doing. Before we get in all that, we have a segment that we call the confession session, Max.
Okay.
Anonymous confessions that we share, and sometimes we give them a little bit of advice in their situation. Sometimes we just commiserate on their pain. And I know that Weirdo has a couple confessions she'd like to share with us. You want to get right into it, Weirdo?
Hell yeah.
Okay, give us a confession here.
Well, lately in the last couple weeks, I've been able to kind of put a bit of a theme together. So kind of about like what happens when your ex dates the person that they cheated on you with. Yeah. So my
you ever been in a situation like that, Max, where someone cheated on you, then dated that person, or have you ever been that person?
Oh no.
Yeah. That's probably a call.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So here we go. So I met my current wife while still being married and living with my ex-wife. Met my current wife on a Wednesday, and by that Saturday, I was out of my ex-wife's place. Holy crap.
Wow. Yeah.
We didn't have sex until a month later. I still consider it cheating, as I definitely made out with my now wife the day we met. But the moment I cheated, I knew my old marriage was over, and it gave me the push I needed to get out of an unhappy marriage. Luckily, we had no kids together, but my current marriage is now lasted longer than my first one. We have 2 beautiful kids. I regret nothing.
Oh, wow. Well, that's a rare, good ending to a bad start. Usually those kind of relationships that start off with cheating end terribly because, cheaters have that habit of continuing to cheat. And the person that you're cheating on with, you'll end up being cheated on down the line, right?
Yes, and I have a perfect example of that.
Okay, give me a different confession.
All right. My first ex-wife left me because she didn't know if my son that she was pregnant with was mine, my best friend's, or another guy's.
Oh.
Then she married my former best friend 32 days after we divorced. He came crying to me 4 years later when she left him for their neighbor.
Yeah, well, that's karma,
Yeah, so rough.
I don't even feel bad for him.
I mean, I feel bad for him, but not for her.
Yeah, I don't feel bad for the best friend, the former best friend. Yeah,
gotcha.
That would be, at least he even got that phone call. Honestly, imagine you're the situation where your best friend's shagging your wife and then they get married 32 days later, right? That's a knife to the heart. That's a pain that's hard to describe, and it's a pain that sticks with you forever. I think the only proper bandage on that is when karma catches up to that guy. And when he got that call, the ability to be able to laugh in their face has got to be so cathartic and healing.
Right.
Like, I'm laughing for him.
He's like, I got the call today. I no longer have to go to therapy. It's all healed, baby. All right. Well, this guy confessed. He said, I stayed with the woman I cheated on with my ex for 10 years because of guilt. She rinsed me of my inheritance, didn't work, and had me pay all the bills. It ended up with her beating me with the stool and me becoming homeless because of it.
Whoa. Damn.
So that was definitely the karma police, because the regular police have also not been helpful.
Right.
Yeah.
These are all country songs, dude. You should actually, since you're in Nashville, do you ever do songwriting sessions with other artists, Max?
Oh yeah, all the time. And I've actually done some country writing sessions since I moved here.
Well,
but
I
don't claim to know how to do that. That's a whole different world, That's a different.
A country writing session. Do you try to steer clear of the cliches, which is dog, truck, beer, those kind of things, or do you go lean in on those cliches and say, "Here you go, another country banger"? That is so formulaic. Might as well.
I think the best of them, you avoid that. And if someone starts to go down that road, I'm just kind of like, you know what? You're going to have to take the wheel on that, because I don't, when someone starts saying we're going to, something ice cold on a side road and all that, it's like, okay.
Yeah. Well, so, Yeah, so you ever been in a situation where guys like, this song's really good, but you don't mention a Ford F-150 once?
Well, you know what's funny is it's almost like they think of things that rhyme that work in a song where I'm like, what does that even mean? And then they're like, oh no, it means this, and I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know that language, you know. To me, there's actually country music's on a better is on the up, I think, right now. With I hear a lot less of that stuff going on in the newer stuff. It's like getting to a because that's kind of like country is almost now like I don't know, it's catching up to older pop and like it's like the counterculture music, you know, and it's cool. There's a lot of also it's a better business for those people right now than anybody else. Right?
It's huge business.
Yeah,
country music makes more money than as an industry than any other genre, I would assume.
They sell merch, they sell records still, they still go straight to radio. They don't really worry about TikTok the same way. You know, it's a whole that's kind of like its own little island where they have some better rules set up for them, I feel like.
Yeah, would you call it incestuous?
I couldn't say that. I don't know it well enough. That's your words, not mine. I feel like you're setting traps for me to cancel myself. I'm just gonna I wouldn't say that at all. No.
All right, that's fair. On the record, he doesn't say it. On the record, I do. Yeah, you country guys, country loving guys, second cousin lovers. All right, well, we're gonna keep the conversation moving on the podcast broadcast, youtube.com/beefvegan. All right, yeah. So yeah. I'll take the heat on that one, Max. I'll take the heat. Yeah.
I mean, I have to say it's very masterful how Max is just darting every single thing you're trying to put down.
Oh, I'm not trying to cancel you for the record. That wasn't the purpose of this conversation.
No, you're trying to make him feel real uncomfortable.
No, it's not that. You know, you got to keep it on the edge to keep it fun, you know.
Yeah. Did you? Okay, so you double booked yourself on podcasts this morning. What other podcasts are you getting on?
I don't even know what is it called. It's called the some guy named Joe Rogan. No, it's
Theo Vaughn. It's fine.
Yeah, no, it's called it's some kind of live not live. It's about live music and something like that. But that's why I got confused this morning. I was like, are we doing this at 11? Because I saw the link and I'm like, oh wait, no, that's not what this is. This is a different thing. No, but I can hang for. I mean, I'm good for a minute. I texted. I can hang. Yeah, so we're good.
Oh, good. Yeah, because we're not trying to rush off it. But you know, I hope this is the first of many times you kind of have like you know, open door. Obviously, when you got time to hang, especially if you have anything that you want to promote, but even just whatever. Since we have the technology, we just kind of expand our co-host list. You know what I mean? Yeah. To keep the party going, and you know, we've been having a lot of fun with this, and hopefully, as I continue to grow financially here for the station, I can continue to get better equipment and make it look fancier. You know, it's been working.
It's legit to me. I mean,
yeah. You know, we're trying.
Got the lights. Yeah. I mean, watching that video of you doing with the DMs with Mari and looking. I know that station or that studio is just across the hallway, and I'm like, God, there's so much room in there. Not in here.
Yeah.
We need room.
Whatever. We cram them in. We had a band called Blind Channel in studio last week, and there's six member group, and of course, and then we had Rico and Weirdo, so we had 9 people total crammed into what we call the broom closet, which was essentially a broom closet. When they were forced to give me my own show, they just kind of did a makeshift studio, but it worked. And you know, we had them. They ended up doing a cover of Backstreet Boys. Yeah, that is blowing up my little TikTok, you know. Yeah. I posted on my. These are humble numbers because you got millions of views. I mean, look at Max's TikTok here. This guy, and you started making money on TikTok, so it made a good enough amount of money to where you were able to kind of support yourself on this. What's the algorithm like?
Yeah. And right now, all I do is post about. Here's the frustrating thing about TikTok is like. When I do the mashup thing, it's all good all day. Once I start trying to promote my own music, they kind of tighten up on me with these views.
Right? Yeah, you're like
you got to scroll down to find the bigger views or any of the other stuff. Well, or also I can get a bunch of views just being like, yeah, I'm going to talk about what was on Van Halen's, you know, Rider, and that'll get 1 million views. But then, yeah, I'm still trying to master how I'm going to actually talk about my new original music on the platform, because it's just a strange time to be trying to put music out right now, you know.
Totally.
Explain that. How's it a strange time to try to put music out?
Because so 10 years ago, when I was a guy who could play all the instruments and make a real record in his room, that was pretty rare then. That there were a lot of people who could do that, but relatively there really weren't that many people that could do that.
Right.
There are so many people now, the barrier to entry at a technological level to make competitive sounding music. There are so many people who can do that now. And I mean, like, to where it's just like, okay, this is, I mean, there's 100,000 songs get put on Spotify a day now.
Wow.
I mean, think about that. When I got into business, there was maybe a few thousand a week. I mean, it's crazy how much music gets put into the marketplace now. And now because the platforms themselves, it's not like how it was where once you got a follower, once you made a connection with someone, they were now your follower. Now the way that they've structured social media is you kind of only see what's viral at that moment. You don't really build an audience the same way. And so navigating how to maintain and farm your little patch of people who follow what you want to do, it's like I have things that they want to know that they're upset that they can't find out because it's so hard for me to let them know. Like there's probably thousands and thousands of people out of the people who are in my following now who just, it's not that they don't want to hear the new song. It's like, it's so hard for me to even let them know that it exists.
Yeah. You can't even get to them. Yeah.
So look, and so maybe, you know, the answer for me right now is I got to do the Dog and Pony show and I make the mashups, and that still connects dots because I'll see people in the comments on a mashup that goes viral where they're like, oh, I saw you open for, you know, Fits in the Tantrums in Phoenix a long time ago, or I saw you open for 21 Pilots or something like that. Like they'll make the connection.
Yeah.
Just the things are in a strange state right now. And I don't think it stays like this. I think it eventually has to roll over. But and I mean, I talk to artists that are way more successful than me that are having the exact same problem.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, man, I literally can't get like my hand to the microphone right now because of how much distorted chaos is taking place with what's going on. But it's just that we haven't settled into how we want to handle a world where everyone is an artist now and is going to put their thing out. And that's okay. I mean, I think worst case scenario, it just leads to a industry where no one can make any money. And that's fine because I'll survive that. And then all the people who are in it for the wrong reasons have to go away.
Yeah.
Only the real people will remain, you know? So, and that may take a year, that may take 5 years, but you know, I try not to spiral myself into a negative space on it, but it's just so bizarre, man. It's like this happened very recently, like literally it just happened, and then all of a sudden that's just how it is now. Whereas it literally feels like it's like some Wizard of Oz, like I can't click my ruby slippers and go back to 2019, but all I can tell you is that 2020 was like, I remember the phone call of like, yeah, South by Southwest is canceled. You don't need to go there now. I'm like, what do you mean? Yeah, this COVID thing's for real. And then it just kept getting stranger and it just kept on. And we're still kind of in this crazy world of whatever happened between COVID and TikTok and the internet. The internet changed in a severe way when it comes to how people find artists and music. It's very different.
That's an interesting perspective for sure. Yeah. And well, these kids are still recovering from the COVID too, still wearing pajamas. And so everything has changed. And whether we think it's back to normal, it's just not. If you really pay attention to it, and
the world is not going to be the same. We still haven't even really gotten a fair measurement of how severe the cultural and economic impact of what happened in 2020 was. We're just now getting up off the floor going, okay, so what just happened? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like for it to be like, oh, that's over. And, you know, we figured it out. No. The world will never be the same. We will be looking back at that year in another 30 years going, that was a big one. That changed everything. I mean, it really more than I can get my head around, you know.
Yeah.
It's really
Did you write a pandemic record? You got a pandemic record? I mean,
I sort of did. What's funny is I already had a song that once all that unfolded, I'd written this song called Sayonara that like by the time it all unfolded, I was like, wow, it's strange. This kind of fits, you know. And so I put it out. It wasn't as on the nose as ever, you know. I looking back, I'm not sure if we have a pandemic song from that era that anybody's like, yeah, isn't that? I remember thinking when everyone was putting out all these pandemic songs, I'm like, are we thinking that that's like something we're going to want to listen back to and look back on soon? Like, oh, remember the pandemic, babe? Put that record on. Gosh, I love that ballad. No one's going to want to listen to that. Like, why would you make something that's about something terrible?
Right.
To get away from, because it doesn't have a there isn't like a Creedence Clearwater Revival, It Ain't Me, like Fortunate Son, like you can't get like something powerful out of it. It's all just going to be bummer. Every song was like, I'm stuck in my house, I'm bored. It was like, we don't want to listen to it. We want to forget about that. We don't want to listen to that in 5 years, 10 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, something I've noticed that you developed, and we like on the show, we talk to musicians, rock stars, but we also embrace our local chefs. It's easy for me to talk to chefs because I feel like they have the same kind of mind that artists have. They're creatives, right? So they're very left-sided, on the left side of the brain type of people. You've been completely passionate and engulfed in the art of culinary as well, and you've been cooking a lot and featuring that as part of your channel. So music, food, mashup songs, you got the algorithm on lockdown, dude. So with this development and this new passion, do you find the connection between being a chef and being a songwriter, musician as well?
Yeah, you know what it is? I think I like cooking. Well, first of all, I just love food, and I love things that are a meticulous process and that you can keep getting better at, which I think they're the same for that reason. How they're different is that I can control the outcome with cooking. I can't control the outcome with music. I really don't believe I can. Like I can, you can do your best, but how your meal turns out with a song or a recording, you kind of have to leave up to the gods. Whereas with cooking, you can control what's going to happen. You can know what you're doing and repeat a process, and it gets better and better as you do it. Whereas you can only really write a song a certain way at one time. And so I guess what attracts me to cooking is you can just, I can get something good out of it for like as a guarantee. Whereas with music, it's very much a gamble.
Yeah, it's something you look forward to though. Like every night is what you can cook and learn and everything.
I unwind by doing that somehow. There's a meditative element to cooking and lifting weights.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is just part of your cookie series. So you went to a local fire department and you made them a chicken parm and Caesar salad dinner for a large group of people. So the first time you did basically catering style cooking to sit down for that department, which is super cool. So it was kind of giving
my
back
brother's
as
a
well.
firefighter, and I go over there all the time and cook whenever I'm in town, and it's always a challenge because cooking for 2 people is what I'm used to, and when you scale that up to 16 people, that's a lot. You can't improvise that. You have to kind of know what you're going to do and do it quickly.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. What is you need to pair, how they pair like wines with foods, right? So I need you to pair a 4-course meal with an album from Max Frost. So if you're going to put on an album of yours in the background, what are you going to pair that with in a 4-course meal?
Yeah. So what you got to do is you got to put the 3 songs I just put out that are going to be part of a 5-6 song EP that'll be out by next year. But there's the 3 songs are Creep Back, Sig in the Morning, and I got another song called Black Hole that comes out this Friday. If you listen to this music, you take some onion and garlic, you chop it down, tomato paste, vodka sauce, and make this is a bit of a process. But if you look it up, there's a way to make potato gnocchi. Sear some potato gnocchi. It's a bit of a heavy meal, but if you make it carefully and you make it right, it's delicious. A little Pinot, bread and butter Pinot. That's a good meal to listen to this music with. I think that's because that's been the most challenging but good thing that I've cooked in a long time. Where I'm like, okay, I'm onto something here.
Oh, it's like gnocchi and risotto. If you could nail those dishes, then you're pretty much a chef. In Gordon Ramsay's eyes. That and a Wellington. Have you tried to make a Wellington?
No, that looks crazy. And I do a lot of complicated stuff, but the Wellington, I'm just not really sure if the juice is worth the squeeze, man. That's just so much.
It is a lot.
It is. I also, for whatever reason, I stay away from anything that's like baking and there's pastry involved in that. I don't do the baking. I'm like, I want to sear, I want to make a sauce, I want to smoke something, whatever. I don't want to do, but I should do it. In fact, now that you mentioned that, I might actually go for that on Thanksgiving this year.
You're going to have to, I mean, again, as you challenge yourself, you can't necessarily call yourself a home chef until you establish those 3 things. You got the gnocchi, you got the risotto, I assume. You know how to make a good risotto?
I actually haven't done a risotto yet, but I am somewhat familiar with how to do that. And
I think those are the 3 things that you technically have to before you get your, I don't know, with the blue ribbon or whatever they do. I know that you went down the rabbit hole with Max recently, right, Mari? You got some questions for Max, so we have them before he goes to the next podcast?
Well, what I just want to commend you on is like you have like no negative comments for the most part, like that I could see. You got like everybody's just so encouraging and like happy and like it was a really positive.
Well, then you need to go to that next level. You got to blow up.
We had to trust me, TikTok, and I'll clap back on somebody on there. You know, there's a lot of, it's just the wild west of the random internet. It's anytime you have a video that goes viral, it's going to be people talking trash for whatever reason. Who are these people? It's always somebody who doesn't have a profile picture or one post, but man, they sure have a lot to say in the comment about what you said wrong, or how cringe this is, that, you know, why, you know,
cringe.
And most of the time I don't care, but sometimes someone will say something where I'm just like, and I'll respond like, shut, you know, I'll just say something crazy. Like if I'll go to their profile and anything I can get from how they look or what their life's about, I'll hit them with like, you know, which I got to stop. It's hard sometimes, you know.
I know.
You spend so much time making something. You spend all this time making this video, and then it's just like someone walking in your house who you don't even know, while you just spend all this time making a meal, and they're like, that looks gross.
Yeah.
And like, you're not even trying it. Yeah.
My house, man.
Oh, so you've clearly never lived with teenagers, because that's what I'm dealing with right now.
Yeah.
The 14-year-old walked in and looked at my boyfriend's food and was like, I don't know, it smells and looks like dog food. I'm like, oh my God, like be nice.
Yeah, so teenagers are the equivalent of the online troll.
I mean, that is who the troll is? Is the troll just a bunch of teenagers?
Well, no.
Some teenagers that never grew up.
Yeah, mentally, emotionally, shit like that. How much time do you have, Max?
I gotta jump, man. But if you guys are still on in like an hour, I could pop back in. I don't know how much longer this thing goes, but
we're gonna wrap at 10 a.m. But if you get done and you still have that same link, you could hop back in. If you hop back in, I'll see you and I'll pop you in. If I don't see you this time, you know, I'll be talking to you soon. Anyways,
we'll talk later today. We got to catch up, anyways, man. But thank you for having me on, and as always,
kudos.
Man,
yeah. And we'll talk more new music and everything else, and drop some singles and play them on the radio and all that stuff here soon too.
Put it on the radio.
Yes.
Okay.
Have fun on that podcast. All right.
Easy, guys.
Talk soon. Max Frost, everybody. All right. We're going to get back on here with some Would You Rathers. And it was good. The timing was good because I was just going to be like, oh, we're going to do some crazy Would You Rathers. Are you even going to answer these? Let's see. Hold on. All right, I just had an excellent conversation with Max Frost here on the podcast broadcast. It was really good times. And speaking of good times, Weirdo and Mari on this Monday. So, you know, we're only getting started. So we're about an hour and 10 minutes into our podcast broadcast. Coming up after Pop Evil, we're going to do another round of Mari's Would You Rathers, which continue to get more and more like terrifying. And since Halloween's right around the corner, I'm sure we're gonna get spooked. So stick around for that, or you could join us on the podcast broadcast, youtube.com/beefvegan. We'll be back here live in Rock 102.1 after Skeletons by Pop Evil. Clear. All right, and as we get ready for that, I do want to share a clip from this morning about Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. We need real dwarves. Check this out. Rock 102.1 KFMA, nostalgia is at an all-time high. You know, things that used to be cool are now cool again, and we're seeing a bunch of reboots and sequels that are starting to make our way to our streaming services and movie theaters. The trailer for Beetlejuice 2 just dropped over the weekend. Yeah,
I didn't see it yet.
Oh yes, we'll watch it here and off air. It's sick. It does look really good.
So
yes, and it stars the girl who plays Wednesday Addams, and
Jenna Ortega.
Yeah, Jenna Ortega, and Winona Ryder reprises her role, and of course Michael Keaton, first time reprising his role in 3+ decades, and he looks and sounds amazing, and the premise and the plot seem pretty cool too. Now, a lot of people are also excited about the live-action reboot of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, but people who weren't happy about it were dwarves, which actually you can't call them dwarves, little people, right? But they would still be upset that they weren't cast in this. And according to Variety, Disney has basically, they released an official first look at this live action Snow White remake, right? And then they announced that the movie is delayed a year until March 2025. The original look of the Snow White does look pretty cool, but the dwarves in question are all CGI. And they're CGI dwarves, so they look like cartoon characters in their own right. Little creepy, little cool. And I'll tell you what, just based off this image alone, I'm like all for it. I'm like, oh, this is a psychedelic movie, definitely worth checking out. But now, ever since the blowback orchestrated by Peter Dinklage, no joke, he complained. He felt the story's depiction of little people was backwards. And then over the summer, an image of the set emerged showing Snow White with a racially diverse group of friends, and only one of them was a little person. That set people off on the other end of the spectrum, right? So they're like, how dare you not have dwarves? And so Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, right?
Right.
So now in a new photo, they're back to the more traditional looking dwarves, but they're not live action. So essentially, Disney can't do anything right when it comes to Snow White. It's either, you go with real dwarves or nothing.
Yeah.
And they tried to do all these other kind of workarounds to kind of be forward thinking.
Yeah.
But not everything needs to be forward thinking.
I don't know. I like the diverse idea, right? Because dwarves are supposed to be that metaphor for the outcasts of society and everything. So why not just go with that?
I'll tell you why. Because each dwarf is essentially a stereotype. And what you don't want to do is assign a race to a stereotype. You know what I mean? You want Sleepy on the Mexican dwarf.
You're right. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
That's a problem.
Just rename them. I guess you can't.
No.
Yeah, Disney really maybe should not have touched this.
I just wanted to throw in that joke there. All right, let's get back here. Thanks.
You did good.
Rock 102.1 KFMA. Welcome back to Beef Vegan Presents, the podcast broadcast, which is now 2 hours. Due to popular demand, there was 12 people that were like, you need to make this 2 hours. I'm like, that's popular enough. We'll do that.
Yep. Heard.
Yes, heard. We have a lot of things to look forward to going into this season. And of course, tomorrow is Halloween. I know. Spooky. And we're going through different cover songs. And I know that we've been playing some today, kind of scratching that itch, but it's always been my theory. A cover song, just a band dressed up as another band. That sounds like Halloween to me.
Yeah.
Mari, another thing that sounds like Halloween to me is your crazy hypotheticals, would you rathers, and I want to get into those right now with you. Of course, Weirdo and I have to answer one or the other and why. And you always come up with some very disturbing, weird would you rather scenarios. Now without the inclusion of bodily fluids, which we found you can't talk about on the radio.
Yeah, she checked in about that last week. She's like, am I allowed to say this or this? No.
There's a whole lot. No, not even in private life. Not even when we're not even close. Not even if we're close to a radio in my car. You cannot talk about this stuff. But here's an example. Give us an example of a would you rather here.
Okay,
Mari.
so I'm doing Halloween edition today.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's spooky.
Mm-hmm. Spooky. Would you rather have a one night stand with a witch or a vampire?
Vampire.
Okay, why?
Because hopefully they'll turn me into a vampire and I live forever.
I mean, that's great and all to live forever, but what if you live forever, but you're also decrepit? Right now you're kind of peaking, right? You're a beautiful woman. You're looking good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want a 75-year-old weirdo who's kind of like a wet mop? You want to live like that forever? I mean, you got to be able to pick an ideal time. Yeah.
A wet mop?
Well, I mean, that could happen, right? You get all super wrinkly and
hilarious.
Right. Would you want that for eternity? I don't know. So I would definitely get with a witch, for many reasons, because witches be crazy And you know
Your
that
favorite.
if she knows how to ride a broom, she'll know how to ride a beef. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's
Yeah, but what if you
same
disappoint
girth as
her?
a broom handle too.
But what if you disappoint her and then she curses you?
First off, I will disappoint her. Secondly, I'm already living the cursed life, so I think we're good.
It can't get any worse than this.
Yeah, it's almost a guarantee though. The first one. All right, what is your next? Would you
All
rather
right,
scenario?
next would be: would you rather chew your way out of a man-sized pumpkin or a giant candy corn?
Oh, you know today's National Candy Corn Day.
Ooh. Ugh.
Yeah, well, you know, actually, candy corn is not the most hated candy of all time. Actually, it gets a bad rap. In fact, let's see what the worst candy, according to a poll. If you were to guess what the worst candy would be, and candy corn is not the answer, what do you think the worst candy corn is?
The worst candy, I would say circus peanuts. Those things are gross.
Well, those are peanuts, so they're not necessarily
no,
candy.
they're a candy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're kind of like Peeps, but even
yeah, those are
worse.
gross.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I
I like Red Hots.
You don't like Red Hots. Well, Red Hots didn't even make the list. And you said kind of like Peeps. The number one worst candy, according to this survey that I came across, is Peeps. 52% of people actually hate them. I'm one of those people. I mean, it's not even a marshmallow in my mind.
No.
And yes, their definition of Halloween candy is very broad because Peeps not necessarily a Halloween candy. Number two, though, if you want to consider Halloween candy, is Jawbreakers. 45% of people hate Jawbreakers.
Really?
That's because they keep trying to bite them. Bitch, suck on them. The Jawbreakers, you're doing it wrong. Dots made the list as well. Yeah. So those are all gross. But candy corn, again, didn't even make the top 10 as far as most hated.
What about sugar daddies?
I love sugar daddies.
Yeah, a lot of people love sugar daddies.
Ugh, I like my teeth.
Just daddies in general. In fact, actually, this before I answer the would you rather, because I will, I promise you. I want to share this Facebook thread exchange that I had the other day with a former listener. I don't think she currently listens because I think she's up in Phoenix. But I did make a post asking my Facebook friends to please subscribe to the channel because we're so close to 1,000 subscribers, which I'm glad and happy to report that we're like 30 over now. Nice. So yeah, we are over 1,000 subs, and I won't ask you to sub anymore. All right, but with that, since I asked for subs in particular, my verbiage was subs. So Caroline, she subscribed, and I appreciate that. Thank you, Caroline. And then she wrote, "I'm officially your sub now, Daddy Beef." Right?
Oh,
yeah. So
Daddy Beef.
I know.
You upgraded from Uncle Beef to Daddy Beef.
Well, to some, I'm Daddy, and honestly, I'm far too lonely right now to get a comment like that and ignore it. So I responded back with this little GIF of a little man about to lick a hero sandwich, right? So and a little wink. It was smooth. It was funny, cheeky, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she responded with she tagged me and she goes, "Oh yeah, give me that foot long," right? And so I responded with, "How about a 6-inch twice?"
Beef math.
Yeah, but then she responded back with this GIF. I want to jump out of a pool with the soda logo of Squirt. And I'm like, okay, you win. We need to stop this right now because I'm about to cancel myself and slide in your DMs. So I did appreciate that little exchange, though. All right, I will answer Mari's Would You Rather here on the podcast broadcast stream. Keep the conversation moving. YouTube.com/BeFegan. Be a sub. There. All right.
That's a nice voice.
Yeah. So yeah, that was nice. And then she did not slide in my DMs, by the way. So if you were hoping for like a happy ending where I'd see boobs, that didn't happen.
Oh my God. Did you see Todd's comment?
Okay. What did Todd say?
You pulling it up? There it is.
As the unofficial Laura B. Vegan presents. This is okay. It was a friendly exchange that did not lead to, it's funny.
It was consensual.
It was to a certain extent, but I did show this to Yaz Bunny, who's a co-host of mine at the Tucson Roadrunner Games, and Crystal Pena, who's also in radio, and she's a co-host at the Roadrunners Games as well. I did show that, and they were both wildly concerned for me. I'd be like, "Oh no," and then Crystal's like, please tell me you don't sleep with listeners, Beef. And I'm like, no, of course not, because then they wouldn't listen anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I have not yet had sexual relations with a woman who followed up like the next week being like, hey, you were funny on the show today. No, you know what I mean? I had my ex for a while listen only because she was angrily listening. And I'm pretty sure she stopped at that as well. So, you know, it is a trend. So I felt like if I want to build the female demo, the best way to do that is not get naked with them.
Yes.
I did have
How professional.
Yeah, but I do talk to women and meet women who don't listen before they meet me and then start listening after and then sleep with me and then stop listening. Circle of life. Okay, don't snort. What song should we play for our single song, by the way? I'll let you pick.
I want Bullet for my Valentine. Your Betrayal.
Bullet for
my Valentine.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
You seen them at the Van Buren on Wednesday.
Ooh.
So excited.
Sweet Betrayal.
Your Betrayal.
Your Betrayal. Let's see. I should have that, right? Yeah. I got it. Okay. Why? Did you play it this weekend or something?
No, I did not play it this weekend. I just, when I come and get ready, you know, my show sheet and everything, like I will pull music up from the playlist. So,
nice.
So I can listen to it. Because I still haven't figured out how to get the volume to work on the computer. I don't know all the buttons.
On this one?
Yeah.
You're talking about on this one?
No, on that one.
Oh, okay.
The one where you're sitting.
I'll explain afterwards.
Okay, cool.
So what was your last?
Yeah, what was the would you rather?
Oh,
Yeah.
are you gonna? Oh, you want to do that one?
Yeah, well, I want to answer it. Now we talked about the candy corn thing, and I know that I transitioned to that and shared some fun radio fodder. And sometimes that will happen, right? You'll bring up something where I'm like, speaking of which, I came across this study. nerd. That's something I do at parties all the time, which would explain why I don't get invited back. But yes, your would you rather was candy corn or human-sized jack-o'-lantern?
Yeah, well, pumpkin. Like, can you
Pumpkin.
chew your way out of one of them? You have to choose which one.
I would have to go candy corn because I do like candy corn, even though I know I would get sick.
It's worth it.
Actually, no, I take that back. I would do the pumpkin because you can, from the inside, the pumpkin's like kind of soft. So, like, as a little rat trying to dig your way out, I feel like you'll get out of a pumpkin sooner.
Well, I believe you'll for sure get sick because you're not supposed to eat pumpkin raw. You're supposed to cook it.
You're like chewing though. You don't have to digest it or like ingest it.
Yeah, you can spit it out. Try it sometime, weirdo.
Yeah, Beef knows all about that. he spits.
Little comeback. Okay, we got the joke. You don't have to spell it out. Dear Lord. All right, give us another would you rather.
Okay. Would you rather? Do you want to do another Halloween one or do you want to do a different one?
Your call.
My call?
Yeah, no, it's Halloween. 'Tis the season.
Yeah, 'tis the season.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you rather spend the night in a haunted house, like severely haunted house?
Okay.
Or a night that you can escape, but it would be rough, full of zombies?
But you could escape, but it would take you would be leaving there looking like a walk of shame, been GB'd by a football team, right? And you're just ragged. Why is that my visual? But either way,
well, it's like, can you fight zombies basically, or can you like risk being haunted forever?
Yeah, I mean that's a difficult one. Actually, I would go zombies though because you do escape one. And then two, you get to kill a bunch of zombies, which is like a video game, right? Headshot.
You have no gun.
Yeah, you figure out ways. I would figure out ways.
How would you do it with no weapon?
I would grab something in my surroundings and I would bash some brains in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm thinking that's a solid night of some anger management. Right there. Just and no regrets, right? Like just bashing in brains.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And Nick says zombie too, because the ghosts, you can't necessarily, there's not something physical. And let's say they're the old school zombies. If they walk slow, they don't run. Not the Last of Us zombies, which are like super fast. Because the cardio, I'd be doomed. Or Zombieland zombies run as well. Let's say Walking Dead zombies where they walk. Then yeah, that's fun because I could briskly walk a little faster and then find out ways like Kevin McAllister in Home Alone to create them kill.
Traps.
Yeah, like paint can coming down, smashing a zombie's head, like headshot, bitch, all day long. That'd be super fun. So definitely going with that.
Yeah, I agree. Zombie.
All right, give us one that isn't Halloween. And
Okay,
then we'll move forward.
This one came. Speaking of teenagers, this came from my teenage cousin Ruby. Shout out to Ruby. Yeah. She asked, would you rather have the power to change into any human or any animal for 24 hours?
Human.
So human.
Human.
And explain why.
Ooh, who would I
Yeah,
Share
change
that
to?
fantasy with us, because I know you thought of this.
Let's see. I mean, if I go with like actresses, I'd say like Margot Robbie or like Scarlett Johansson, just to like experience like, I don't know, maybe a night like it's like a movie premiere or something, to be able to be like, well, what's on the red carpet, and then who the hell am I sleeping with tonight? Let's go.
Right. Now, if you turned into let's say Scarlett Johansson, you're banging Colin Jost.
Mm-hmm. I'm good with that.
You think he'd be good in bed?
I do.
I think he would like be, I don't know, 3
Vanilla.
moves. Yeah.
Super
He-
vanilla.
He comes off like that. I don't know if he's super freaky. I mean, I definitely could be wrong, because he is able to marry Scarlett Johansson.
True.
And she has definitely, had some dating experience, and I'm sure she's great, but maybe not. Maybe just, it's one of those situations where they're just good looking people doing very plain sex, right? Because I'll tell you what, I know from experience, the ugly people really know how to put it down. Yeah, and then Margot Robbie, kind of same thing. I mean, yeah, she would have her pick of who she's shagging, but I don't even know who she's with right now. I think it's a committed relationship, though. I would do the people person as well, and I mean, honestly, the whole motivation is sex. And
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We're on the same wavelength.
Yeah,
Yeah. We
but
already knew this.
I'd skip the movie premiere. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like, I'm just
I
morphing
want
into
to feel
people.
pretty
Wait, so
for a
who?
few hours and then go.
I like to feel pretty naked. So
Wait, who would you be though?
everyone, I mean,
One person.
oh, one person. Okay, that's good though, because what's one person?
Leonardo DiCaprio?
Yes, but I'll tell you what. Let me ask you this question real quick. Do you think Leonardo DiCaprio is into some butt stuff? I think he is, based off this evidence that was posted by the Daily Mail.
I know she's touching.
Dude,
his butt, but
every
she's just like,
time-
it's just like a little.
Every time I'm just trying to say something funny, like Leonardo DiCaprio, he bangs all the young chicks, and he's like, "Oh, I got a segue into a perfect thing I read." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Everything's a segue.
I have no way. I had no idea.
Everything's a segue in my mind. Okay, so
Yeah.
Leonardo DiCaprio, obviously it was Halloween weekend, so people were out partying and whatnot. Leonardo DiCaprio was at a party, like a house party, with his 25-year-old girlfriend.
Yes.
So, and she's trying
Victoria.
to,
Yeah, she's
trying
about to expire.
yeah, she's trying to make it past that. So, how do you make it past it? Do the weird butt stuff things that previous girlfriends would not do. Here's an example of the butt stuff thing.
It looks like
So,
a butt scratch.
it looks like a butt squeeze, butt scratch, but there's several pictures here because paparazzi likes to get all that, and she's noticing that she's getting the picture, and she's like, "Oh, you see me doing butt stuff, Leo? Look at that." Now they say in the description that this is a butt squeeze, but that's very centered.
Yeah.
Very centered, very like where your middle finger is your longest finger.
Oh.
Yeah, it's where you could easily go boop,
I
right?
didn't see that.
Oh yeah, so you're not looking at it like I am.
Right, and that's like
Hold on
a
a second.
scratch.
While we debate is Leonardo DiCaprio into butt stuff thing on the podcast broadcast, we are going to do our single song takeover. It's Weirdo's pick today, and your pick is
Bullet for My Valentine, Your Betrayal.
And
On rock. Oh, I thought I was going to do the full intro. Just
Well,
kidding.
and you can, but
Okay.
tell me why you're picking this tonight.
I'll be seeing them live this Wednesday at the Van Buren. It'll be it's their first tour in the United States in 5 years.
Wow.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Well, I'm going to let you introduce
Okay.
it, and then we're going to go back to the debate. Is Leo into butt stuff? But go for it.
I love my life.
Yeah.
All right, this is Bullet for My Valentine, Your Betrayal on Rock 102.1 KFMA.
Excellent job. Okay, so
I
look-
tried. And now back to butt stuff.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, for real, because like his pants are like lower, right? Because his pants are probably tighter than his boxers.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, that's total butt stuff right
What
there.
if-
No.
What if Leonardo
It's
DiCaprio?
cold.
What if he's at a stature where like he can get any beautiful woman and and pretty much make them do anything to stay his beautiful woman, right?
Mhm.
So what if he was like, "Hey, baby, I'm prairie dogging right now. Can you help me out?
Oh no.
Get it back in there a little bit?"
Sick.
And she's like, "I got you, boo." Beep. No, okay, maybe that didn't happen.
I'm just thinking about the fact that he's like, yeah, we got to be careful with the monetization thing because like we might need to calm down on the cussing.
Yeah.
And let's talk about
Well, that's
Leonardo DiCaprio's girlfriend pulling out of.
okay.
Anyway.
Well, not pulling out, pushing it back in.
Oh, pushing it back in.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very different. huh?
But yeah,
Sounds like a trip to the doctor.
and look at her face. Look at as I'm giving you evidence. Exhibit B for butt. Her smile. This isn't a smile of someone saying, "Hey, I'm squeezing your butt." This is
Mhm.
very much a smile of like, "I'm inside you," right? And yeah, and so look, she is she's a little too giddy about the entire situation.
Right. And knows it's being photographed.
Yeah.
I still think they're cold and she's warming up her hands.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's going to be body temperature warm.
My sweet, sweet summer child.
Yeah. This is the temperature of her middle finger as opposed to the rest of her fingers. Right. No, obviously, that's the graph of his previous.
They're in LA in October. It's not cold.
Oh, it's chilly at night.
Not really.
It's like sweater weather.
Look, you don't need to just keep your one finger warm. Of course, Todd thinks that's too far, so we'll move forward. But I will say,
I say not far enough.
Yeah, no, I do say that you can say what you want about whether or not it was a butt squeeze, but I'm 100% for sure, on the team that it was insertion. I just think there was an insertion involved, and it wouldn't surprise me that a guy who has literally spent his entire adult life sleeping with nothing but the most beautiful women in the world might be like, over that thrill and need to step up his kinks.
At least one knuckle in.
Right. So that's the downside of sleeping with nothing but tens is that eventually you're going to need your butt stuff done, just for you to find pleasure. That's a fact. Let's go to the phones. Why? I don't know. Rock 1 2.1. Who's this?
Beef Eric.
What's up, Eric?
Hey, you lied to me. I asked you to play this last Friday, and you said you didn't have it.
I don't recall that, and I do not believe that I would lie to you because, first off, you're one of my favorites, Eric. So whatever the scenario was, I'm sure I was short on time or I was juggling too many things or whatever the case. I'm sure there's good reason for it.
I'm just giving you crap.
Wait, did you request your betrayal? I thought you requested something
else. I requested your betrayal by bullet. I just didn't say bullet for my Valentine.
Well, that's where you fucked up.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Okay, so it was my bad.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, you have to be very specific when I'm going into this, especially when I'm like short on time and like answering phone calls and whatnot. So we'll say that was equally our bad. 50-50 our bad. Your bad, my bad.
All right, I'll go with that.
Yeah, but I'm glad you're enjoying it now, and we'll talk to you here soon.
I am.
Nice.
All right, buddy.
All right, Eric, take it easy.
Bye.
Yeah,
that's funny.
It was
remember that call.
It was an equal. You do remember that call?
Yeah,
you were here on Friday. All
I
right.
just can't remember if it was your betrayal or something else.
I thought
Rock 1 2.1 KFMA. There you go. Bullet for my Valentine going out to Eric the Trash Guy, who apparently requested it last Friday. And I said no. But then Weirdo said it. And I'm like, okay. I mean, it works. All right. Welcome back to the show. We're live on the podcast broadcast. Now, as full disclosure, I'm going to ask you this question. Give me your answer, and you don't have to answer it. And in fact, actually, let's get Max Frost back on here. He just popped back on the stream. Good morning, Max.
We're back.
All right. Perfect timing. Let me ask you this question. And you're probably going to be too afraid to answer it, so you don't get canceled. But I'm going to ask it anyways. Okay. All three of you. Have you ever hooked up in public? Gotten some nookie in public?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that was a hard yes. And then Max.
In public? What do you mean? Like,
oh, I'm saying in like a public place, like because I got a guide. Now, this is usually our TMI top 5. The guide to public nookie without getting into trouble. Okay, but with this list, there's some of them that are bad suggestions that I do not think you should do. Okay, but according to Ask Men, these are like places where you can full blown get it on, have some coitus in public when people around you could possibly spot you. Yeah. So with that kind of premise laid out there, do you choose to answer the question or plead the fifth, Max Frost?
I'm going to sound so boring for this, but I'm just going to be totally honest. I don't think I could even, like, if I'm worried about something at all, I can't even engage. I'll just say that. I would just be like, yeah, let's get out of here. I'm not going to be like, oh, that's not exciting to me at all. That would be like, this is like, I'm not going to go to jail. I'm not, that would be the opposite of, I would be out. But that's just me. And I know that that's a boring answer, but I think that the truth is a lot of people who would be like, oh yeah, man, I was on a plane. No, you didn't. People like to put stuff up. No, you didn't. You were, to me, I'd be freaked out. I'd have to.
So you never done the Mile High thing? Because you've been on a lot of flights, so you never like got a little frisky, not all the way, but like made out or anything like that.
215 pounds. I can barely fit in a bathroom to pee on a plane.
That's true.
I feel like I'm in the NBA when I go into a bathroom to take a pee. I couldn't even physically fit another person in this bathroom. Like I'm like this. This is what I'm like peeing in a plane like that.
Yeah. So it's not happening.
Person in there, even if I was crazy enough, and everybody would know. It would just be like. And me knowing that they know, it would be, I don't know.
Well, some people get the rocks off based off knowing. And that's why there's a couple like here's examples that you shouldn't do. They say in the water, but this is around other people. So like if you're in the ocean and you're getting it on and there's like a family playing in the sand next to you, that's bad. It's creepy. Plus be warned, there's all different types of bacteria in there. It's going to mess with, it's going to give you UTI. It's guaranteed UTI for sure. And even if it's in the pool, that's a bad thing. So I wouldn't recommend that. No. I won't recommend the movie theater. They say the movie theater is an option, and honestly, guilty. I've definitely hooked up in a movie theater before. You?
No, that's not where I hooked up.
Okay, and you know, and Max no. I guess I'm the only one. and I'll tell you, it was the movie. I'll tell you what movie it was, and it was super awkward because there was only like 3 other people in the theater. But one of those 3 people actually knew who I was. And I was on a date with a girl that it was kind of like a DL date, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So it was one of those things where like I was into her, but not everyone would. I didn't want anyone to know that kind of thing. It's one of the reasons why I went to movie. And it was the Nicolas Cage movie that was written by what's Charlie Hoffman. You know what I'm talking?
Adaptation.
Adaptation.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite movies. That is the weirdest movie. Dude, don't waste your time hooking up when you have the movie that good on the screen. I like movies too much to hook up in a movie theater. You know what I'm saying? That's a great film.
It was a great film. I know, but I didn't go there for that film. I just knew that nobody else was going to see Adaptation. Just so happened the one person that I knew that I ran into was in there. And I do recall her looking back. They're in the front, like, maybe like 4 rows deep. I'm in the very back row, but still loud enough. There's a lot of quiet moments during Adaptation.
There is nothing less sexy on a screen ever.
The Nicolas Cage playing Charlie Kaufman and his twin. I know.
You're better off hooking up to Schindler's List, dude. That's not a sexy movie. Okay?
I was worried that he was gonna be like, hooked up during the Lego movie or something.
No, I wouldn't do it during a
kid's
kid's
Lego movie is very fun and sexy, and that's a normal movie to hook up to. Adaptation is about a balding, crazy Nicolas Cage in the whole movie. He's like, oh God, am I even worth it? He's freaking out. That's a straight.
I will tell you the plus side on that, though. If you're going to go and hook up during a movie, you got to make sure that the leading man doesn't look more attractive than you. So at least, the girl in question that is participating is like, oh, you're so much hotter than the, 50-foot character that's in front of us. And at that time, Nicolas Cage is a stud, no doubt. But he gained weight, and not in that movie. That was probably one of the worst, physical depictions of Nicolas Cage, and that was good to go with.
You could have been there to see Troy with Brad Pitt in there, and you would have got no action that day.
Exactly. No, I wouldn't have even been able to get aroused. I would have been too intimidated. You know what I mean? Just by Brad Pitt's 8-pack. So, yeah, movie theaters are out, and another thing, airplanes are out because Max's description was good. And honestly, everyone gets caught when they attempt to, as a normie, join the Mile High Club in a public bathroom. You kind of have to do it on like PJs, which is private jets, is what rich people call private jets. I'm just trying to put it out there in the universe. But like we just showed that viral video of the guy who met a girl on a flight, and the flight attendant literally opened up the door to the whole cabin when he had her bent over the sink going to town, and he just shut the door. So they did let him finish, but he was banned from flying on that airline ever again. So it's not risk it. The risk versus the reward factor isn't worth it, right? Getting on the bathroom's fun, but to not be able to take Southwest Airlines ever again because of it, it's totally not worth it. So those are what you're not going to do. But on the podcast broadcast stream with Max Frost, we're going to give you the places where you should hook up in public, or could, I should say. And we'll be back with more right after this. It's Rock 102.1. Now,
we need like a random generic disclaimer that you just Rock 102.1 KFMA does not endorse anything that Beef says.
well, they're going to start airing those actually. The beef disclaimer that I had it on my other station. They have to get it on this one because I do, run my mouth. It is what it is. Hold on, somebody's calling. Let's see who this is. Rock 102.1. Who's this?
Beef, it's Jose.
What's up, Jose?
Not much. I heard that you actually got it on in a movie theater, and it was to a Nicolas Cage movie.
Yeah, adaptation. Yes. Why? Are you calling with your Nicolas Cage impersonation?
Yeah. Well, mine wasn't as cool as yours. It was, and I wasn't as I didn't get, I didn't go all the way. It was just, a little, playing around. But mine was during a Horton Hears a Who, and the person was actually there was another. I want to say it was a couple, or maybe it was just one random dude. It was probably a couple, actually. If it was a random dude, it would have been weirder. But he was, we were in the back row, and I want to say he was maybe 10 to 12 seats away. And my girlfriend at the time was, getting some popcorn, if you know what I mean.
That's head.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know what he means. Yeah. Whenever someone says they're going to get some popcorn, I'm like, you dirty dog. Yeah.
But yeah, it was during Horton Hears a Who, and I partially remember that movie. I know definitely remember more of that movie than my girlfriend did. That's for sure. And that's all I wanted to share.
Because she wasn't looking at the screen.
Yes, I know. But that's a terrible movie to go see. I mean, you don't want to go to a kid's movie to get it on. I just think that puts you in a situation where you might have to go door to door and announce to your neighbors that you're moving into the neighborhood,
Right.
So.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so next time, make sure it's a rated R
Back in the
flick.
day when we were in high school, bro, and that was a movie that had already been out for a month. There was like 3 people in there. It just happened to be the other people were in the same row in the back. They're probably doing the same thing, to be honest.
Oh, yeah. All Dr. Seuss movies, people get turned on at, So I appreciate the call, Jose. That was good.
Take it easy, guys.
Later. So here's some of the places where you could get it on. And I just want to shout out that comment. Spirit, we let you finish. I mean, that's a fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah.
Good.
Like that. And it was a Spirit flight too. So it really was. But yeah, here's what they said. Places where you could and should. Number one was changing rooms.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Okay. You know what I have? Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. You forgot about that one. Now,
Public though, you can close the door and you can get away with that.
Yeah, but those walls are super thin, so anyone could hear you. So you have to be super quiet for sure. And can't they see your feet underneath? Was it one of those changing rooms that had doors that went from floor to ceiling? There's some bathrooms like that.
Urban Outfitters right there on Cahuenga Boulevard in LA. And the way it was set up, it wasn't like that. It was like there was more space going on in there,
Nice.
There was
so they know what they designed those for. Honestly, they're like, in LA, people are going to get it on in here. In fact, it's probably going to be featured on like Vivid Video sets and everything else.
Yeah. I mean, Urban Outfitters is sort of a sex dungeon in a way. That's kind of what that's sort of the business model of how that plays. It's not really about the clothes.
No.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah. Getting it on in an Urban Outfitters changing room is way cooler than mine, which was Old Navy.
I think they're similar.
And that really, that's embarrassing. But
I know.
I say my way up to an All Saints because that's really fair. You got to get to all. I'm just kidding. Yeah. No.
Max has got goals.
Yes. Like if you hook up in a Ross changing room, you hit rock bottom.
Yes. Or TJ Maxx.
A Target. Yeah. You don't want. Target's got some killer clothes now, man.
Yeah, you trying to get some Target sponsorship going on, but
it used to be that Zara and H&M were the good stuff, and that's where I'd go. And now Target, I'm like, this is the freshest stuff you can get. It's amazing. And H&M and Zara are in the can. Sorry, I'm taking a left turn here, but you're trying to keep this fun and exciting on this public sex conversation. I'm just trying to talk about where I buy my shirt.
Well, and you're just giving me an example. This is when you turn the corner of 30, when you start saying, you know who's really dope? Target.
I love Target.
That's what I wonder. I'm like, is Olive Garden getting worse, or am I just getting too old?
Exactly.
Because it used to be amazing, and H&M
Yeah.
used to be amazing, and now I'm in there like, what is this bullshit? Like, this is terrible.
That's
Oh, it was always terrible. You've just figured it out now.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of H&M.
That comes with age.
Better, right? But Zara used to be better. Now it's just boring. It's not good anymore.
I don't think I ever shopped there.
Mm-mm.
Dude.
I like Zara for
It
kids
used to
clothes.
be incredible. You know.
Is it? Yeah, no. I still floss at Kohl's. Actually, all my stuff I get at
Oh,
Kohl's.
you're a Kohl's guy.
I'm a Kohl's guy. You know, and honestly, it's getting a little tight, but I think what I'm gonna do is I got to get a doctor, right? And I want to jump on the bandwagon of what celebrities are doing. They're getting shots to lose weight. It's
Ozempic?
called
Ozempic, dude. Oh my gosh, dude.
What is it called?
Ozempic.
Okay.
And you know about this because I have a coworker who I thought she was gorgeous, and I told her I was like, I like thick Kim better, right? Personally,
I used to date women in LA, so yeah, I unfortunately was exposed to Ozempic in the
and
past
how
year.
quickly it works, right? Yeah. So tell me about it. What do you know about this, and what makes you? Are you a fan of this?
No, this is crazy.
I know.
Totally crazy.
I'm all about it.
Literally give yourself a shot in the
Yes.
stomach. This was made to treat diabetes.
That's what I'm just now seeing. I'm like, wait a second.
And they figured out that when you're on it, you just wither away and lean out.
Mm-hmm.
But what? I mean, listen, that's no, it doesn't. I don't recommend that to anyone. I'm pretty sure any doctor who does recommend it to you is getting a kickback. And you
They're on the payroll for sure. But I'll tell you this: I am seeing it work in real time, and it is amazing. And so what it does, dude, it eliminates all cravings in your brain, right? So it's just like craving blocker. Which a lot of people like their downfall in gaining weight is they're craving like bad food. We're addicted to processed foods, fast foods, sweets, things like that. So it blocks that, but it's just not just the food cravings. It's literally all cravings. So I'm looking at it like, oh, wait a second. You got a miracle shot that's going to make me lose weight and stop smoking. And then basically up my Tinder profile from 0 to hero. Like then sign me up. How much does that cost? So I've been watching my friend take this, say it again. Ozempic shot. And she's already dropped like 25 pounds. Wow. She looks fantastic. And so the more and more research I do of this, I'm like, sure, yeah, it's giving thyroid cancer to some mice, whatever. Okay. But what it's also doing is like really helping all these people lose weight who've never lost weight before. Mm-hmm. And the argument that I saw was on Real Time was one, first off, they don't know how the medicine works. Like they don't know why it works, right? But the argument is there's a lot of medicine that we use every day that we still don't know why it works. And aspirin is the biggest example of that. We don't know why it works. It just does. Right. Right. But two, since it is a craving blocker, it literally can block cravings for alcoholism, right? For alcohol, for tobacco, for, any of this cocaine. I'm just throwing out things that people are addicted to, not personal addictions. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, like if it blocks all those, this is seriously one of those miracle shots that if a majority of the country, because we just reported yesterday or last week, and we keep reporting how our obesity rate in the nation is highest it's ever been and keeps growing. And it's also, it's the biggest cost of for our country is our medical costs. It's a bigger cost than even our pandemic. Of people getting so obese and being unhealthy, then having diabetes and getting knee replacements, hip replacements, all basically because of their weight. And now that you got this shot that essentially will melt that away and also make you not addicted to things. I think, as far as guinea pigging, there's a lot of guinea pigs out there who's already tried it and they swear by that. And the risk versus the reward. We talk about this all the time. I wouldn't mind guinea pigging myself, getting super hot and not doing anything but just getting super hot by taking some shots. I don't want to put in the effort is what I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah. But I'm also looking at the side effects. So usually with a medication or some kind of treatment, the side effects is usually like 1% or less. Mm-hmm. You're looking at 15 to 20% of people who take this drug is nausea, diarrhea, stomach pain, vomiting, and constipation.
I could take that. I could take that.
Could you?
I feel like it'd be worth it. You know what I mean? You're saying, okay, I'm gonna have some diarrhea and I'm gonna throw up a little bit. That's part of losing weight.
Daily though.
I was a little negative about it, and I gotta say, after hearing this pitch and hearing those side effects, I'm open to it. I would do it.
It's not that bad.
He sells it.
There are worse side effects.
I knew a
they
man
have.
who was on it, and I knew a woman who was on it, and they both looked fantastic. I mean, they both looked very.
What happens when you're off it?
They've been working out. I don't know. You don't get off of it. You stay on it forever. That's the dream. That's the American dream. You
do have to wean yourself off of it. It's kind of like morphine, right? So then they start low dosing you. But at the time, like if I go, say like this is the scenario in my head.
So why don't just originally wean yourself off of the bad diet to begin with
you
instead
can't.
of off of a drug?
No. The problem is, Weirdo, as a society, we've been hooked on these very bad things like processed foods, sweets
Fair enough.
from birth. So these addictions are kind of like instilled and ingrained in our DNA. So sometimes we need science to give us that kick in the butt that we couldn't get beforehand. And it's been working for people. So
then you'll have to take the next drug to wean you off of the Ozempic.
No.
Sorry, this is my hippie ass just coming out right now.
No, I know, but yeah, I think you're wrong in that. I think you wean yourself off. You don't have to take another drug. And I'll say this, like, say if it's a scenario where I go like a couple months where I drop all the weight, right? And say I get off the Ozempic and then gain weight again, then I'll just go back to the Ozempic. So if I go 6 months of hot and then 6 months of not, I would just balance it out to where the 6 months of hot are during summertime. And then the 6 months of not are during the winter. I could kind of rebuild up my, winter coat. And
That's
then
like
do it all over
somebody
again.
that's like, I'm going to go get the gastric band surgery, right? And then feel really good, then gain the weight back. Oh, I'll just go do it again. No, like.
But this is not a surgery.
If you utilize this to help break that addiction, right, and change the diet, then fine, all for it.
Yes.
Is that what you would do, though?
Yes. And also be lazy and a shortcut to living a healthier lifestyle and be more attractive. We need to be more attractive in the entertainment industry. So you should be like telling me, you should be booking doctor's appointments for me right now for our
No, I want you to
continued
come
success.
to my gym.
You're out of your mind.
I'm aware, but it has results.
We got your beef tip coming up after these words. Keeping the conversation moving, youtube.com/beefvegan. She does CrossFit.
I walk in, they tell me what to do, I do it, and it works.
Yes, well, I know that you could do it. I will do it after I lose the weight, and it'll be easier for me to jump from obstacle to obstacle and parkour. You don't want to see
Ninja Warrior.
Every thought that I have wanted to offer in the past 5 minutes, I've just like had this self-judgment where I'm like, Max, you are a Joe Rogan bro. Like I keep wanting to be like, no, dude, but you got to check out cold plunge. I want to be like, no, but bro, when you work out, the way that changes your mind, I'm like, I can't let this come out of my mouth.
Oh, it comes out of my mouth to beef off air all the time.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
You like cold plunge?
Yeah, but yeah.
Oh, cold plunges are fun.
Yeah.
So good.
In my backyard, I have a chest freezer that I converted into a cold plunge thing.
Nice.
Yeah, you've done videos of that too, of you cold plunging.
I'm not going to sell it you on it, but I do this over Ozempic any day it's free and it's amazing.
Right. And increases your metabolism. I mean, I've been sold on cold plunge. I mean, I do know that there are benefits and
we're on the podcast right now.
Yeah.
We're on the radio.
No.
Not on the radio, yeah.
So it's like, I'm not exaggerating. It is like if you could do a bump of cocaine that lasted for 5 hours.
What?
And there was no. That's what it feels like.
Wow.
You are literally. I don't do it for. A lot of people pitch other stuff about it that I'm like, whatever. Like it's miserable, dude. It's miserable.
It's awful.
But the way you feel 40 minutes later lasts for hours, and it is as good as a strong drug. It's incredible.
Wow.
There's a
how long?
For how long does it last, or how long do you have to be
So
in?
how long do you what's your longest plunge?
Oh, I mean, I've taken it too far, but I would say
hypothermia levels.
I'd say the healthy amount would be if you can get in 45 degrees or less for about 3 to 5 minutes.
Right.
Yeah, that's gonna do it.
Yeah, my top is like 48 degrees at 8 or 9 minutes is the longest I've done.
Yeah, that's perfect. I did 15 one time, and that was a bad idea.
Yeah.
You eventually start to actually feel like you'll be in there and you're starting to like you can feel your brain function slowing down. Like I've literally been like, wait, how long has it been? Like you start to kind of slow down and it's like it's time to get out. It's time to get out. And that's not fun because then you start to itch. It literally like messes with your skin for that long. But 3 minutes is perfect. That's sucks. It's miserable.
It's also a really good time to like work on like meditation too, right? Because your body starts shaking and you want to try to like relax. And there's like little things you can do, like wiggle your toes, keep your toes out of the water is what I do a lot. But like just really concentrating on your breathing because you're so cold.
Yeah.
And especially me, I'm a desert rat. So like I really like doing it. It also helps with sore muscles and everything. It just has so many benefits.
Well, let me ask you this, Max. You say that it gives you this euphoric high for like hours, but I was told that actually for artists who get off stage after doing like a large show, they have that adrenaline rush. It's a way for them to basically come down and be able to sleep. So does it relax you as well or no?
Yeah, I think you get better sleep from it. Yeah. I mean, it's like if Xanax and cocaine could be the same thing. It's like you're calm.
Look, Mari's reaction every time you do a cocaine reference has her sold.
I'm like, I gotta go cold plunge.
Like I'm telling you, you literally are like, yeah, everything's all good, and I'm up for whatever, and it's all good. You're just like, you just feel very, very good. Well, because basically what happens is parts of your brain that don't know any better, like you know that you're gonna live because you know you're gonna get out of the water.
Yeah,
parts of your brain do not know that. All it knows is I am being told that we are going to die if we stay in this water. You need to get out now. We are code red. You get out, you warm up, and it's like your brain comes into the office and is like, hey, we survived death. Let's have some dopamine. We're getting the champagne out. We survived death. Literally trick your brain into thinking you survived dying. And that's why it feels so good. It's very strange.
Let's go back on the FM side real quick. Welcome back to the show. We're almost out of time on the FM side. We'll go a few minutes over time with Max Frost, who I'd like to thank for joining us here on the podcast broadcast. You can check out the entire conversation, youtube.com/beefvegan. Subscribe while you're there. Before we wrap things up and turn things over to Robin Nash, I do like to leave you with a beef tip. My beef tip is for those of you out there that have a difficult time sleeping. Because most Americans, struggle to fall or stay asleep. And a lot of it has to do with the mind working overtime, thinking about tomorrow, financial issues, any kind of worry you could come up with. If you start getting in that pattern, you're going to be tossing and turning all night. But there's a licensed clinical psychologist named Dr. Shelby Harris who came up with an idea. It's called cognitive shuffling. And here's how you do it. You repeat random words in your head, right? This blocks anything else from coming forward. Okay. So before you know it, you're asleep. You just repeat those things in your head. It's almost like counting sheep, but you just repeat like peanut butter cups, peanut butter cups, peanut butter cups, peanut butter cups. It's Halloween after all.
Yes.
And then you do that enough in your head, boom, you're out. And TikTokers are raving about the method. So it might be worth a shot. I mean, Max Frost is technically a TikToker. Would you agree or disagree with this beef tip, Max?
Yeah, tonight I'm going to just try repeating beef vegan over and over again.
And then he's gonna have nightmares and never sleep again. Never good show, everybody.
If you repeat it too many times, I show up in your mirror.
I'm like, okay, repeating thoughts over and over again in my head, laying in my bed, trying to sleep. That sounds like a panic attack. I think I have tried that. That's not. I will say counting in reverse, like the headspace meditations I've done, where you count in reverse and do a breathing. That's been extremely effective for me to fall asleep.
There you go. A bonus tip, courtesy of Max Frost. Follow Max Frost too when you get a chance at Max Frost Music. You got to check out his TikTok and his Instagram. Go down the rabbit hole. It's wildly entertaining and A+ content. I promise you that. All right, we're out of here on the FM side. Robin Nash is up next. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. Drive safe, ride safe, and as always, rock local. Later.
When you wish upon a side of beef.
All right, that's outro song. We got a couple more minutes, and then we'll let you get onto the daily routine.
You're a master juggler, man. It's impressive to watch all this.
Oh yeah, people say that. So we attribute it to running the Zeppelin, but doing the board of staying like going on air and going off and going back and forth, a lot of button pushing. But I think eventually, people figure out what we're doing here and get on board. So we'll see.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, thanks. Well, that's I have the opportunity. I just wish I was doing this again in 2010. Like all the shit. Like like people are. I'm sure you'll get this a lot too. But like I have people that I've known for years, or they're like, "Oh, you're in radio? You should do a podcast." Like, fuck you, bitch! I've been doing podcasts, right? I was doing podcasts before Joe Rogan was doing a podcast, and I had a podcast that was so big, because I was having all these comedians who now have podcasts on that I couldn't afford to pay for the podcast because they didn't have the free services that they have. So like the data was too much, and unfortunately I'm working several jobs and couldn't afford it. So now I'm
How are you sleeping these days?
Some days good, some days not. Honestly, I need to take that Ozempic. I gotta learn how to say it and then just do it.
Just do what I do. What is it? Indica, Xanax, sleep herbs, and melatonin.
I'll tell you what, I'm
on a lot.
I was really run down last week, and I was feeling like physically ill, and I was kind of concerned, and it was affecting my emotional health as well. I was kind of like down in the dumps. I'm like, what's going on? And it was honestly, I feel like it could have been a lack of sleep, because what I had to do was like sleep for like 12 hours straight to give my body a rest. Because I've been addicted to this blue light, because I'm doing the video editing, I'm learning all that stuff, and when you start it, it takes a long time to kind of get into a flow, and then I just find myself just glued to these screens, and it's like it's not only crushing my soul, it's like physically making me ill.
It'll mess with my vision. Where like suddenly I'm like, why are my glasses like? It's actually better for me to take my glasses off. But yeah, just go to your screen brightness. You can put it on night mode. I have it on night mode 24/7.
I have everything on night mode. Doesn't matter. I gotta get to a blue block. How many hours do you think you're in front of a screen, Max? Because what's your like Monday through Friday routine? Because do you approach your work like an office job?
When I have my life together, yes, but it's not quite like that. It's more like I tell myself I'm getting onto social media because I'm going to get ideas. It becomes a rabbit hole. I think I'm close to the point of deleting it and sending this stuff I make for other people to post on my behalf, because man, it is incredible what a wormhole it is. I mean, I'll open it and hours will go by. Hours will go by. And I'm just like, what did I just do? It's just too brilliant a way to distract yourself in the middle of nothingness. So I got to get rid of that. And what was the question? Screen time?
Yeah.
I use the screen, right? I mean, even if I'm making music, or even if I'm editing a video or watching a movie, although I have no TVs in my house, I don't do TVs in the house.
Okay.
If I want to watch a movie, I'll set up a projector and I'll do a big projector. I don't like the TV in the house. I like my house looking old and looking like, I like the house to look like I read, even though I don't read.
Smells like rich mahogany.
My house smells of rich mahogany. There's many leather-bound books.
I was gonna compliment your soundboards back there and the print, and I was like, is that like a Gucci print? Those look good.
No, that's from Joann's Fabrics, dog. I built these.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that's where you're doing a lot of the recording as well. What's the significance of the guitars that you have behind you? You got any old stories of those guitars that you have hanging up behind you, or they're just your go-tos?
Yeah, so that's actually the first electric guitar I ever had, the painted one. And I sat down and I had an artist named Katie Pipkin paint it. This would have been freaking 15 years ago. That guitar used to belong to the guy who now plays bass for Gary Clark Jr. He wants it back. I might give it to him. The bass I just kind of got a long time ago, but that's a cool bass. That's from like the 60s.
And is that an acoustic bass?
No, that's an electric. But then that last acoustic guitar right there, that's actually a guitar from the 40s. That's like a 1940s Gibson. That's kind of like a, that's like a guitar you buy because in another 40 years there will be none of those around, or there'll be very few of them.
So do you play it still? It doesn't even look like there's strings on it, but is it stringed?
Yeah, I play it. I just don't gig with it. I don't take it to a gig, or I don't bring it. I don't really leave the house with it. I did for a while, but I just finally was like, what am I doing? I can't be gigging with a guitar this old.
Speaking of gigs, I see you doing like one-offs. What are your plans? You going to try to do any kind of runs here soon?
I would love to, man. I'm honestly just I'm terrified to go throw out like a headline tour right now. I'm not sure if that would be wise. I think I got to get a couple new songs to crack, and I got to get an opening tour and then warm back into it, because 3 years not touring is a long time. And it's
true.
We're kind of like this, any artist who didn't have like phenomenal needle moving success past 2020 on the live side is in a different universe now. It seems like it's just a different world. So, you know, I'm gonna get back out there, but also I'm like, man, I got a little spoiled making these TikToks, making money, dude. You make a TikTok video at home and make like real money, and then you're like, so I gotta drag my ass to the gig and load the gear, and I'm gonna make $1,000.
Right.
Dude, I'm gonna do some TikToks, man. I'm good. You know, you're like,
So the money's that good where you're almost like a full-time TikTok employee.
look, it could go away. It's less this year than it was last year.
Right.
You know, I don't know. Anything that comes that quick, I think can go that quick. So I don't sit around thinking that's what I'm going to do. And honestly, I don't really want to, there's a level of it where I'm like, man, this is ridiculous. So I finally have, right now I'm back to like, I'm going to use this to promote the music that I'm making. And if that costs me views and if that costs me money, I'm okay with that, because I'm not going to be a game show host and be on here doing this my whole life. Like I gotta,
right.
Where does this go? Like I if I'm not making some music that people are connecting with, there's a lot of other things I should be doing. And, I got to stay on what I actually think is fulfilling.
Yeah. What about, I know that you're always like kind of behind, your metrics and the data. Now that you have that label that you're working with, they're always showing you different data. So can you tell based off the videos that you're going, like the impact you have in certain markets where you could potentially, if you were to plan a tour, then based off your viewership and returning viewership, off of your social media, that you would go to those markets and potentially have a good turnout, right? Does it give you that kind of roadmap like Spotify does it not?
Yeah. The thing I wish Spotify would do better is if I could use Spotify to actually genuinely reach the people who listen to my music, they could change everything for me. The most that they're willing to do is like occasionally send out a little email with a list of artists that you listen to, that if you check that email, you'll see that they're coming to town.
Right.
And I get why they can't let Spotify be a way for artists to actually have any real engagement with the fan base other than the music. But man, if they
why?
Yeah, why is that?
Because they don't want you to be like, they can't have every artist in the world pestering every listener that they get, and that's not really what they do. I think that they're, I'm not Zuckerberg, but it seems like they maybe are missing some value there with that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's always been a problem for me, right? I mean, I've always looked and been like, I'm like, there's 800,000 people listening to this music a month. And if I could even get 1% of them to show up to my US shows, I would have sold out shows in every theater. Like that's 80,000 people. I can deal with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I guess that's 10%, but even 8,000 people, it's like that, it's just really tough and that's what I was saying earlier about the strangeness of this new internet world, which is like the follower number doesn't mean anything anymore.
Right. I know.
Anymore at all, because a person with no followers can get 1 million views and a person with 1 million followers can get 100 views. So it's all fun. It's like, oh, wow, this is really fun. But I'm also kind of like, yeah, this isn't going to work, because that's not like what we agreed upon to enter into with social media. The point of it was it was social media. The point was to be, I want to be connected with my friends. I want to be connected with the people who I like and want to follow. And instead it's almost turned into like Chive TV. Like it's just this random feed, and that's entertaining. And it's exciting to have a chance to be like, oh, well, I'm just some guy in Milwaukee and my dog makes a funny face when I toot this horn. 20 million people just saw that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. But why are we doing? It's like, what's the end? Where do we end up? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't really know where this goes. I'm like, yeah, but we should probably just stick to good art and doing things that we want, and not be like, I don't know where this goes. I don't know. I'm still trying to get my head around it.
Yeah, I'll tell you the way I look at it too. It's a gift and a curse, because once I started realizing like, hey, you don't need to necessarily have like the huge number of followers to be able to reach a huge amount of people. And it's like, oh, that's good, because you can reach a huge amount of people and get them turned on to what you're doing, but then they'll follow you and not see your shit ever again. So it's a very like
Oh, I mean, I could give you the recipe right now. I mean, if you're not already doing this, Beef, this is how simple it is.
Okay.
Go get an intern. You're gonna go. You have so much stuff you have on the record on video of you saying funny things, doing crazy stuff. You could literally right now never touch a microphone again. And off of the decades of material that you've already put up, you pay someone to go through it and clip it down into shorts and put 3 up a day. You'll be a TikTok star for sure. You will get millions of views because you're funny and you say crazy stuff. But then what? 1 million views doesn't mean anything anymore.
I know.
Right.
Now,
Right. Having 1 million followers on Instagram doesn't mean anything because there's like 10 million people on Instagram that have 1 million followers. Like it's insane. It doesn't mean anything anymore.
You know what I hope? Here's my hope, and this is very wishful thinking. But we used to get light in our eyes over these numbers. We go, oh, wow, that's value.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, this is a famous person, 1 million views, 1 million followers. We're all going to slowly come to the realization that this is a fake bullshit thing and that we made it up. It's not real. It's not real. Instagram is not a real place. Twitter is not a real place. And we're going to go, oh, we kind of got too obsessed with that. And as a society, we're just going to kind of just check out. We're just going to kind of like, wait a second. This is not even doing anything good for us other than a small portion of people in Silicon Valley. We create the value of Instagram by existing on it, but we don't participate in the value of it. It's like we're like rats in this maze that they built. We got to, and I sound like Kanye West right now, but I'm just like, we got to get away from it. We got to, as a society, we got to check out of there. We got to go back. Like I'm saying on some Emerson philosophy, like we got to go to the woods and chop trees. Our society needs to go back to the organic and to the real, because this is just, what are we doing? It was fun. It was fun. You know what? The peak of it, I think, was like, I don't know what the peak of it. Tiger King. That was the best of it.
Yeah.
But now we got to go back to regular things.
I think you'll see it in the next generation because always, like every following generation kind of like has blowback to the previous generation's trends.
Right. That swing back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah. They're like, oh, that was cool back then. Now that's uncool. Right. So, I mean, you can see that. And then what's on the next. And then there has to be at a point, I think we're at a breaking point where there has to be an evolution to this living on the internet thing that we've all become accustomed to. And it'll just be interesting to see where that goes there and what that means for people like us who are attempting to entertain and engage and grow a fan base through that, and if it's even going to be possible. So
well, I mean, in Gen Z, like on TikTok, their latest trend is silent walking, where you go on a walk with no headphones, no nothing. And I'm like,
it's just walking.
Are you fucking kidding me right now? You're just going for a walk and enjoying nature. Not that difficult, but a lot of
this new trend called jogging or something. It literally sounds
like right. But I mean, it is like because Gen Z just grew up with this just being the norm, right? Like we kind of came into it where it was, coming out and getting popular and everything, where Gen Z is like, oh, it's always been this way. Like my kids thought that phones always existed for like hundreds of years. And I'm like, no, it's
talking about cell phones because phones have existed over 100 years. Thank you, Alexander Graham Bell.
No. My kids thought that phones existed like in the medieval days. And that cell phones were just the new thing. So for Gen Z, it's just, oh, this is the normal. So for them, it is refreshing of like, oh, I can unplug, and that they're discovering it and they are doing it more. I think National Parks came out that like their most popular generation that's been visiting national parks has been Gen Z. They are getting back outside and going to these places. Hopefully they just don't ruin them.
You know what blows my mind is thinking about that you could pretty soon you could come across photos and videos of someone where you'd be like say it was like a fake profile on like a dating app. You could be like, oh, who is this person? I'm interested in them. And then you figure out, oh no, this person died 100 years ago. But the pictures of them and the video of them are of high quality. Like every person,
like AI.
Yeah, like every person who ever existed is a mystery to us until now. Like your great grandkids will be able to come listen to this interview and be like, oh, wow, grandmother was talking about this and this. That doesn't exist on anybody else. We have to find their letter. We have to find some faded photograph. No one is ever going to be a mystery ever again.
Yeah.
Isn't that so bizarre?
It's bizarre, but I actually look at it like this in a positive way for my daughter, right? As accumulate all these hours of content and, is that like, hey, if worst case scenario, once the inevitable time comes, that if you ever miss me, you could just go down the rabbit hole, as long as YouTube is still a thing, right? And then watch hours and hours of me talking about the women I banged. That's
I just miss my dad talking about cocaine on the air. I'm gonna go back and I get a little misty eyed.
Yeah,
vomiting in the sewer and crawling back.
Yeah, he really did talk about his dick a lot. That's my dad.
Right, but you did also document the cat adopting you guys, which is really sweet. And then
she has to comb through a lot of pervy stuff to
I
get to the sweet gem.
I was really trying to help out vegan veal.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there'll be AI that'll help her decipher that. But yeah, but you're right about that. And in fact, actually, and we'll end it on this because you brought up an interesting point in one of your clips where you talk about history, you talk about technology, and this is kind of like a merger of both, where you asked the question, the hypothetical, who gets paid off of Mozart's music? Because you're a Spotify artist. Right. Yeah. And so, Mozart is music that's been around since the mid 1700s. Right. So about 300 years, this music's been around. So it's long past the public domain publication. So, but somebody's getting paid off this. People are still listening to Mozart on Spotify.
He has a profile and someone uploading the music and someone can check those streams and there's income. Who has the password?
Yeah,
it's the password for Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart's Spotify. Does Spotify I'm sure the answer is really boring, but the question's interesting. It's like who is running Beethoven's Spotify? Is it some guy in a library with like a suit and a corncob pipe and he types and he divvies out the checks? Who is this?
Yeah, and where's that money going to? Because there is some money. Obviously, they get a lot of streams, a lot of hits. So I know Spotify pays very little, but that adds up. And somebody's collecting
more streams than me, dude. And
whoever the publisher is. So whoever did make that account and has the password to it, that's who makes the money.
He's got 7 million monthly listeners. He's got 50.
Wow.
Jesus, yeah.
I mean, like this is literally, I can do the math in my head, like hundreds of thousands of dollars that this Spotify account has made. So
wow.
Yeah.
Making that money. It's millions of dollars. Like someone's making this. Maybe it's going to the people who own the recordings, but that will be multiple parties. So who's divvying that up? And also who decides who gets access to this account and what they're going to put up? They literally could make a playlist for Mozart and be like, yeah, here's Mozart's picks of his best, who is running this?
Yeah.
Right.
This is Mozart.
Right.
Like,
Could you imagine going back in time and telling like Mozart or Beethoven, like, listen, this is what's going to happen to what you're creating now 300 years from now? Like, I don't know, like, because a lot of people have had that thought or that theory of like, if you were to go back and tell Van Gogh, because obviously Van Gogh in his lifetime was not a successful artist. He put out art, but he was not successful. But now he is the most recognizable artist.
The one I think about the most is Michelangelo for this reason. When this guy's 27 years old, he takes a single slab of marble and carves it into the David. He was 27 when he made that thing. And that's in the late 1400s. And that thing has been sitting there in Florence in the same building with this glass up over it and the sun setting on it. If you could strap a GoPro to that thing's forehead 500 years ago and roll a time lapse, you would see people by the thousands coming in medieval garb. You'd see them then coming with the feathered caps. You'd see them coming through all this time. You'd see people with monocles and canes, and then you'd see people with these iPhones pointing at it. I mean, that blows my mind that one dude took a chisel and made this thing, and we're still looking at it. I saw a picture the other day where in the 40s, they built this structure around it in case the Germans dropped a bomb. Someone dropped a bomb on it, and they didn't want to, screw it up. I mean, imagine that. That blows my mind. There's no way that they certainly didn't think it would have lasted that long. They knew that he knew he was a genius. Everyone knew he was a genius, but I don't think anyone could have wrapped their head around that. That 5 years later, it's still, and Shakespeare is another one where it's like, you got to be kidding me. We're still talking about this guy, but they're still just in a movie doing this guy's shit. Like, it's impossible to fathom that. You know what I mean? That it's that long. Like, are we ever gonna forget about it? I don't know.
All right, Max, I got a very serious question. Are these thought processes all organic? Or are you on the shrooms?
I'm completely sober right now.
Okay. No, I appreciate it. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
no.
but I think about this stuff because when I saw it, I was like, man, this thing has been here for so long. How are we still? Because maybe, that probably was the peak of that type of art. I wonder what the thing will be. What is the thing now that will be forever? Is there even anything now?
I don't know. That's the thing.
Not a damn thing from me, that's for sure.
That'd be very difficult. Yeah, like Quentin Tarantino's writings. Like, I mean,
Tarantino's
what do you
movies
think
might
would
be
hold
that.
up?
Tarantino's movies might be that. That's a really good. They have a good chance. They have a very
Yeah, but 500 years from now, I don't know. I mean, pop culture itself hasn't had long. I mean, even Gone with the Wind isn't something that people want to watch today.
Right.
Cinephiles would, but does it hold up to today's standards? So that kind of thing.
Have you seen Psycho?
Yeah, the
Hitchcock?
original Alfred Hitchcock version. Yeah.
I finally watched that recently, and that one stands up. That's a movie that even a young person I think could watch and would be like, "Whoa, this is a good movie."
His suspense building in his movies.
Yeah.
That's where it is, right? It's that unknown, that thing just beyond the door, and how he would always build that up and let your brain do his work, basically.
Yeah. Well, we actually have a horror movie that we're debuting tonight. Actually, I just want to throw that out there. Yeah. I'll show it to you guys here, but I got to end the stream now. So I'll show you guys this horror movie and our acting. And then tomorrow we'll start off our show with it. Thank you guys for watching and watching the replay.